Hello, I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations number 44. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode in production order, The Alternative Factor.
Yay!
We're all excited, right?
Right, so excited and oh my god. Today I am joined with pop culture curator with his amazing knowledge on the show and great talent at spotting weird production errors, and also Scotty R37. And today is his birthday, so happy birthday, Scotty.
Happy birthday.
Very strange.
I shall be merciful and quick.
And I'm always happy any day that Scotty can join us because his commentary provides both the depth of mind and soul of Star Trek. And one of the phrases that Scotty likes to repeat fits in with the alternative factor here very well today. This is what happens when you don't show up for rehearsal.
It's true. Oh man, what's the name of the Barrymore gentleman who didn't show up for work?
John Drew Barrymore. Yeah. That family, that entire family has been wrought with alcoholism and drug issues over the years. So that was probably one of the reasons, I'm guessing. It was either that or he read the script.
He was
hung over.
But it was really unprofessional of him to just not show up.
Right, that's why I'm guessing he was on a drunken binge.
Well, in his Screen Actors Guild membership was revoked for 6 months for leaving this production high and dry.
Right, in retaliation, the producers. Right,
they brought that. Wow.
But to him, was that a loss? I mean, he probably goes on binges for 6 months at a time anyway, so.
It was just vacation time for him.
Right. Yeah. More time to sleep it off, I guess.
This episode looks like it was made in half of a day. From like 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 on a Sunday, and no one wanted to show up. And one of the guest stars was like, "Well, I'm just not coming."
Yeah, I think so. Lou and Scotty just said, "Hey, can we use this our token week off?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first time I'm not so excited about it, but I'm happy to be here with you guys. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited.
You are
excited.
Even
though,
I guess.
Right. I guess at a 50th anniversary Star Trek convention in Vegas, this was voted by the fans as the 9th worst episode. So they thought there was 8 more that were worse.
That's impossible.
Oh my God, that's insane.
That's wrong? What I thought too.
Wait,
yeah.
I was there too. I was there, but I didn't vote in that. I was doing something else. I don't know what I was doing while I was there.
Like this episode makes Spock's brain look like Shakespeare.
Yes.
Yeah, and it makes The Way to Eden look action-packed.
At least
I love The Way to Eden because of the soundtrack. Hey, brother.
I like Spock's brain because McCoy does surgery on Spock's brain. And
Spock's brain.
I'm surprised you don't have that clip yet. Maybe it's because we're too early in the series, but you don't have brain and brain. What is brain?
Not yet. I can grab that for you. All you have to do is ask.
No.
Room for it.
I've made my request for the day.
Right. And also, damn it, Bones. A moment ago, you said it was child's play.
Yeah. See, that episode has so much good stuff in it, even though it's not that. Good.
Today's episode is a bad episode when we would rather talk about Spock's brain.
Talk about everything but this episode.
Remote control Spock could be cooler.
True.
Hello in the chat to Pleasant Valley Picker CA. He says,
"Hey, PvP.
What of Lazarus? Well, he falls off cliffs. And he needs a better barber."
Oh my God, the makeup effects for his beard are so out of whack. Like it changes all the time. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's wispy.
They should have put a bush on there instead of the strands, because they were basically placing the individual strands on his chin. You know, I give him credit for taking time to do that, but yeah, it changed pretty much inconsistent from scene to scene.
Yes.
Yes. And PvP knows that you gave it an A.
I did. It's my birthday episode, so I love it.
Yeah. Cardinal Sin says time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so. And that's a Hitchhiker reference.
Yeah.
Hey, Mega Cropper and Matt G.
Thanks, Mega Cropper, and cheers, Matt G.
Yes, Mega Cropper says happy birthday. And Gorilla's Random Thought says, lurking, but this episode was a masterpiece.
All right, we got a positive vote from Gorilla. Let's see if it stays that way.
It will. He loves all of the episodes that everyone else doesn't.
Right. He gives them all his default A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, right. Okay, so the Comic Relief Crusader and Lemon Pie are also here.
Hey,
right.
Lemon. Hey,
good
Crusader.
to see you all.
Yeah, great. And Pleasant Valley Picker said, I came here for the enthusiasm in Jill's voice about this one. Maybe a hint of sarcasm, too. Gotta feel a bit sorry for Robert Brown having to walk into this mess and work with an author.
Exactly. Yeah, from what I've read, they literally dragged him onto the set as soon as he agreed. I guess apparently what happened was good old Barrymore did not show up. So the director had to shoot around him. So mostly Enterprise shots and shots without him. And it got to where they were about ready to scrap the entire episode. Mm-hmm. And then they hired Mr. Brown at the very last minute and literally drug him onto the set. So what we're about to see is not the actor's fault. I give him credit. He learned his lines and he stood in the right places. So
yeah, that's pretty incredible that he was able to do anything, considering he didn't get to rehearse at all.
I wonder if he ever did conventions so people could remind him how bad the episode was, right?
Yeah, but the check's cleared.
Yeah, the check's cleared. The check, singular form.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't get residuals, right?
Right, no residuals.
But like this is such a fascinating episode because watching it, once you get to the last 10 minutes of it, it's like, wow, this could have been a good episode.
It has a good idea.
Yes.
Right. Well, this launches a lot of the future alternative timeline and dimension plots that Star Trek's going to use.
Yes, this is the first time you get alternate dimension in Star Trek.
And where is DC Fontana?
Oh, I have no idea. She could have saved it, but there was no time.
I have a feeling she wasn't there after watching the episode. It's like, where was everybody? Did everybody phone this in, or?
I think Gene Kuhn was somewhere around. Cardinal Sin says, Gru's lurk can grease troll gnomes?
Agreed.
And the Comic Relief Crusader says, all 60s Star Trek are masterpieces compared to today.
I agree. This is still miles above, better than anything that Secret Dump Out has put out.
Mm-hmm. For reference to the production of these episodes, some of the facts I share comes from Star Trek 365, the original series by Paula M. Block and Terry J. Erdman.
Before we move on, though, I would like to say...
Yeah, but okay, but this is just a thing I always say every time.
Okay, then I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm rude.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, it's your birthday, but I just say this every time, and it's just like...
Please do.
Just the idea to use this text comes from R.M. Briggs, who you can find on the Clobberin Times channel, so subscribe to them and read Raquel's amazing science fiction short stories. Available in paperback, hardback, and Kindle on Amazon, and also she just started a Patreon where you can get her book from there too, where she's going to have a community. I don't know what she's going to do, but apparently there's some Patreon stuff happening now.
And if I may, I would recommend, because I follow the commander on Twitter, I would recommend going to her Patreon to get the book from there, because apparently getting it through Amazon is not supporting the creator.
Right. She doesn't get anything from Amazon. Right.
Like I think, and I don't want to be gauche about the situation, but she sold like $750 worth of books and she got like 70 cents from Amazon. So if you do want to support RM Briggs, please go over to the Patreon and get the copy from her. You might be able to get it signed. I don't know. I haven't looked, but I would recommend that above getting the Amazon version.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. And you said you had something?
Yeah, I would say that the alternative factor is worse than the first season of Star Trek Patrick Stewart episode Nepenthe, which I have a soft spot for because it was the first time that I got to see Picard and Riker back together in the 21st century, and I really, really, really liked that episode. Alternative factor is worse than that episode of Star Trek Patrick Stewart, which is saying a lot.
I don't know what episode you're talking about because I blocked my memory from all of that.
But there are some things. Some things feel like a warm hug, and seeing Picard and Riker together in
the pizza, the stupid pizza.
Yeah, the stupid pizza episode.
where Riker's more interested in pizza than saving his son. Yes.
Hells yes. Look at his waistline. Of course he likes pizza better than his son's dead.
Yeah, because he didn't work hard enough to figure out how to save him, even though the solution was out there.
There was a ban on synthetics.
Okay. So when has anybody on the Enterprise said, "Oh no, there's a rule against saving someone's life. We better not do that"? That doesn't happen. No.
True. Well, when was the last time you saw a person made of matter standing on a planet made of antimatter and it didn't blow up?
That is definitely one of the points I make here. That is a good. That was
oh my God! It jumped up and down in my face.
So this episode first aired on March 30th, 1967. It was written by Don Ingalls and directed by Gerd Oswald. Gerd Oswald directed several original Outer Limits episodes. And Don Ingalls, who wrote this story, was a police officer turned to a TV writer with Gene Roddenberry. And in fact, the police force is how he met Gene, who had become a police officer in order to become a better writer. Don also initially wrote A Private Little War, but it was so heavily rewritten by Gene that he credited himself under a pseudonym. And I guess we'll talk more about that when we get to that episode.
Which means he was not happy.
No. The pseudonym itself is like, he turned himself into a martyr or something. I don't really know. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, but we'll talk about it later.
And this episode is like, again, not even with that Barrymore gentleman getting fired from the acting guild, but who is the engineering lady again?
Lieutenant Masters.
Lieutenant Masters was supposed to be some sort of love interest for Lazarus, but Gene Roddenberry poo-pooed that because it was too similar to Space Seed with Marla MacGyver's.
Yes,
falling in love with Khan.
Yes, that's his reasoning. Even though there's romances, everyone on POS, so I see why we couldn't have it here.
Right, and everywhere off the set.
Well, and also you had a Caucasian man and a woman of African descent, and so
yes, both of those reasons are explained in the 365 book.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
No, but that's okay. That means I can skip over some of that text. I don't mind spoiling this episode right away, considering that nobody here listening needs to go through the pain I did watching this episode.
You've seen Event Horizon frame by frame, and this is worse?
Yes. So the 365 book says, another universe, perhaps another dimension, occupying the same space at the same time. This episode introduces the intriguing concept to Star Trek fans. Could a parallel universe similar yet different from our own possibly exist? Unfortunately, this theme isn't even hinted at until the episode is half over. By that time, the viewer is thoroughly entangled in what appears to be a retelling of Moby Dick, with Lazarus as Ahab pursuing a cosmic whale as he shouts, "Bind my enemy! Bind the beast! I will have my vengeance!" But while the production of every episode had its own unique set of problems, the alternative factor was cursed with more than its fair share. The severest damage seemed to have arisen from an unfortunate early choice in casting. So like y'all guys already said, they tried to hire Drew Barrymore's dad. Wait, it doesn't even say his name here.
Thank you, Cronus,
John.
for the heads up.
Wow.
I've taken care of the sex bot, even though I invited them for my birthday.
Woohoo! They showed up.
Yeah, I know. It warms my heart.
You were almost disappointed because on Friday you invited them, but they didn't show up. Here they are.
They knew to show up on my real birthday.
And with a hot photo of their sister.
Well, that's weird and gross. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that is weird and gross. I don't even know why I said that.
I don't. Ooh, your sister's pretty. Anyway, moving on.
Although Barrymore showed up for the initial meeting, the costume fittings, he was nowhere to be found on the first day of production. The role was hastily recast with future Here Comes the Bride star Robert Brown. But such disruptions always create a ripple effect. triggering costume alterations, script revisions, rescheduled location days, and so on. The episode went a day over schedule, requiring the cast to be carried, in terms of pay, over the Thanksgiving holiday. Extremely pricey for a show struggling to remain within a tight budget.
Well, and a tight budget doesn't necessarily mean a small budget either. Like the 1960s Star Trek is an ambitious television show for its time with all the special effects and everything like that. When people refer to a tight budget, it doesn't mean that it's small or chintzy. It just means, okay, you guys have, $700,000. And it's like, well, we do have a lot of special effects.
Right. There's no room for waste.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Pleasant Valley Picker says the thing that still puzzles me is that Gerd Oswald's bizarre choices for the special effects shots, the interdimensional limbo, look dated even in 1967. Yep. And
I'm not sure if he had control over that.
And, I think he directed it. PvP
he directed the episode, but I'm talking about the special effects shots.
Yes. And PvP is right. Amazon is making the most money off of her work. They didn't pay her much. Yeah. So join her Patreon.
Yeah. Support the creator.
Mm-hmm.
My God, I sound like Nomad.
Oh, hey, Sean Carter is here. Hi, Sean Carter.
Sean Carter of Mars?
Yeah, he says Riker's son is not dead. That's Kurtzman Trek, and that is the 25 different timeline BS they won't admit to. Yeah, agreed. None of it is Star Trek after 2005, Sean Carter. You're correct. In fact, you have a son in actual canon. I will not be wrong because you're 100%.
No, you're not. I disagree because, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, canon is canon.
Cardinal Sin says he pulled a Cordwainer bird.
Cordwainer.
And hello. Oh, Cordwainer.
Yeah, that's what Harlan Ellison used to use that when he was unhappy for the same reasons.
Wow. Oh, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Hello to Captain Fandom Nerd.
Fandom Nerd!
Yeah, and Kronos is here too.
Hey, Kronos.
And PvP asks if Roddenberry did any rewriting. I don't think there was any time. I don't know, though. I don't know for sure.
Rewriting possible. Polishing, no.
Definitely rewriting in terms of editorial decisions, but polishing certainly not.
Gorilla says bad roboting. Am I roboting?
A little bit, but not so much that it's distracting. I'll let you know when it gets to 11.
And it was a few minutes ago, right?
Did you miss anything? Was it while I was reading?
Nope.
No, nothing noticeable.
Nothing? Okay. Shoot, I don't want a robot.
It's got to the point where every time I hear roboting, I keep thinking it's on my end, but oh well.
Well, I'm on Ethernet because someone yelled at me.
Disable this device and re-enable it and see if that helps.
Well, and also while you're doing that, I'm going to give my brief description of Lazarus's plight in this episode, if you'll allow me.
Of course, go ahead.
Here is my review of Lazarus in The Alternative Factor.
Yes.
I'm going to play that like 3 more times.
There. Admiral Teague is here. Hello to Admiral Teague.
Admiral Teague!
Yeah. And PvP says, while watching this episode, Jill was tempted to grab the melon baller.
What, for her eyeballs?
Yes.
Oh, don't do that. Liberate tutta me.
Oh, hey, see, it does tie back to Event Horizon.
It does.
Admiral Teague says there are a few bad or dumb TOS episodes, but this is one of maybe 3 that also lacks all charm.
I disagree with that, Teague, because I do appreciate the characterization of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in this episode. I think that McCoy does a great job of taking care of sickbay in this episode. Spock is like a stone cold pimp. It's like, I've just come to the logical conclusion of you being a liar. And Kirk is investigating. What is that, Jill?
Oh, well, I'll tell you when I get there, because that's part of my thing.
Sound good.
6 says, Jill, I have a confession. I give every episode an A+ because it isn't trash Trek. That is fair. Oh, Scotty, did you share what you wanted to share? That was the itching scratch.
Yeah, that's what happens in this episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Brown's Alliance is here.
Oh, hello to Mr. Brown's Alliance. Yes, I was checking out here. Oh, Cardinal Sin thinks Raquel should use Lulu. Yeah, probably.
You should tweet her. Let her know.
Mm-hmm. I should. And yeah, Miss Queen Jess is here. I don't think I've seen this one. I think this is probably the only episode of TOS that you don't have to see.
Before today, I watched it 1.5 times because all I remember is the photo negative fighting between Lazarus and Lazarus. And I was like, this is an episode that is literally filler. Aside from, again, the characterizations of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
Do I sound okay?
You sound beautiful, as always.
So we're just in a teaser right now, but already this episode is over because the planet is now a fiery cinder because Spock says that the planet
right
oxygen. He says that it has an oxygen hydrogen atmosphere,
which is not good.
Instead of an Earth-like planet of oxygen.
Shame on you, Spock. What have you been drinking?
And so nobody caught that mistake at all. So that's one error. That shows how much of a disarray this entire episode was in.
Is Kanar just black Zambuca?
It's brown and scooey, and why are we
It's
talking about
black and
Kanar?
viscous. Well, because I'd rather talk about Kanar than this episode.
I don't know. It looks like it tastes like mud.
Yeah, but it's.
Do you have a close up of Spock as he's looking into his viewer?
No.
Is this the clapboard?
No, I tend to not get. Oh wait, maybe I do. There you go.
Oh yeah, there was a scene right before this. I should have got a clip of it where you can see the shadow of the light on the wall behind him.
Yeah, you should, because you always notice things I don't notice, and if you don't have a clip of it, I probably didn't get it.
PvP has to go.
It goes right over my head. Oh, okay. He says,
Take
gotta
care,
go.
PvP.
He says, gotta go. We'll watch later. Have fun, folks. Have
Cheers.
a good day, PvP. And Kronos says, isn't Kanar fish sauce?
No, that's what Cardassians drink instead of coffee. Fish juice. Hot fish juice. As illustrated by Barry Waddle, who was Arn Darvin, a genetically engineered Klingon made to look human. In the episode Trials and Tribulations. Sorry for that digression.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is a great episode, though.
It is. It's so much better than this one.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that.
I love this episode so much because it's so bad that it's the only time that I get to slag on the original series mercilessly.
That's why I don't like this episode. I don't like talking bad about the TOS.
Oh, come on. But there's something funny about something so bad. This isn't a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode that we will never have an opportunity to do again. It's part of the reason why I enjoy it.
And Cardinal Sin says Raktajino is Klingon coffee. Yes. And they had a not so Klingon Raktajino at since you mentioned the Star Trek convention. But it was very good.
In the mid-90s, they released a Star Trek cookbook, and I think it was Neelix's Star Trek cookbook, and they do have a recipe for Raktajino with espresso beans and different types of coffee. So you can there is a recipe for Raktajino if you care for it.
Neelix, but in an alternate dimension where he can actually cook.
Sure.
So they continue to collect data, and then the ship shakes, and we see nebula overlay right over the crew. When does that happen?
Soonish.
Oh yeah, right there.
There it is.
And it is, according to Memory Alpha, it's most likely the Trifid Nebula, which fits in the time it was discovered hundreds of years ago in 1764. And it kind of reminds me of The Cage when they went into warp and they had a star overlay over the crew too, but this is not as good.
Right, and even that wasn't very good, but it's still worse, right?
Mm-hmm. At least that was just a way of saying, hey, we're doing warp now. But before you do that, I just want to say, I am a huge fan of nebulas, as evidenced by my use of them as my background of my avatar, but this episode makes me absolutely sick of seeing nebulas.
Oh, come
I do
on.
I have a still here if I could share it for a second.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Spock, just over his shoulder, you can see the shadow of a studio lamp.
I think it looks like an alien with a large nose.
Well, maybe they had a visitor on the bridge that day, right?
Yeah, it's Eric's.
It's Eric's with the extra limbs.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he's looking head on and it's just a robot with big ears.
It's Bender.
It's Bender.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
So anywho, my mistake. I'm gonna derail this entire conversation all.
Good. No matter what outrage.
Robot.
Oh no, roboting? What?
Well, no,
heck?
now you're fine.
Yeah, it was just for a second.
But I'm just gonna hit the buzzer every time I hear it.
Yeah, please do, because I have no idea what's going on. What's going on? I don't know. I have my Ethernet cable in and everything. I don't know what's happening.
That was not a solution.
Let me try something else. See
all right.
if that helps. Okay. Do I sound good now?
You sound better than good.
Yes.
No matter what
Absolutely smashing.
No matter what outrageous events occur on Star Trek, I can usually count on Spock to couch it in logic and reason and come up with either a theory or, he flat out says he has no clue, so it's a mystery. But with this episode, every line they give him is such indescribable nonsense. But of course, I'll try anyway. And Spock says
it's like fan fiction or something a fan would write, a child.
Yes, Spock says that for less than a second, everything on his instruments winked out. That is not a scientific explanation, Spock. Kirk says, I want facts, not poetry. So realizing the statement makes no sense. We get a second one explaining that the magnetic field blinked. Or winked? Or blinked? I don't know what's happening. Why are they winking and blinking? For less than a second, what kind of catastrophic event would happen if the electromagnetic field of our universe suddenly didn't exist, even just for a brief moment? Because a fraction of a second is nothing to us, but it's an eternity to an android or a universe.
Well, what's interesting
too something.
Right, and Lazarus was going to explain that this has been going on for a long time, but why is this the first time everybody's realized it if it's across the entire galaxy?
Well, I think this is the first time that he's actually succeeded in crossing over with his Jetsons car.
He said that the two have been fighting for years or a long time.
That's right. They've been chasing each other throughout time and space.
Right, which means they've been going back and forth before this episode.
Yes. And so there would be some effect, but this is the first time anyone's felt anything of it, like you said. But here, it is, they say that, if these kind of physical manifestations of the universe are just suddenly not there anymore, something catastrophic would happen to the universe, but nothing happens. It's like a non-issue.
Sorry, guys, I fell off my bike.
And I don't know what in reference any of this means. There's no relative. There's nowhere to go from it. So I'll keep going. And if that's not bad enough for this freak show to be occurring on this planet, Starfleet calls to say the same thing is happening all over the galaxy and beyond. And so somehow Starfleet has contact with beyond the galaxy. But that one, I guess I'll give a pass. I don't know.
Right, because they have not explored everything yet.
Yeah, they don't know.
The Metrons made a call and they said, "Yo, what up?"
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, back to Vasquez Rocks once again.
Yeah, I know, right? It was like they were picking up shots at the end of shooting Arena. Mm-hmm. And it was like, all right, guys, we got to do this thing. Oh, but I'm hungry and tired. My shoes are too tight. No, we got to film the alternative factor.
I'm sure the cast had to enjoy being on location considering how hot the set was in the studio. And that soundstage was supposedly very hot, so I'm sure they were happy to be outside.
Well, and also pop culture, later on, there is a moment where Kirk is clearly at Vasquez Rocks, and it shows his POV at the Jetsons car, and it's obviously in a set. Like it's in a soundstage.
Right. That's the alternative universe scene, right? And there's a reason for that as well.
And one thing I skipped was, anyway, this weird space anomaly happens everywhere, and there's no source, so it must be an
robot. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Anyway, okay, so
it just takes a moment and then it resets. As soon as you get frustrated, your internet starts to work.
That's not very comforting.
I apologize. I merely speak the truth.
Now
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Right, and you guys see all the trees and bushes and everything. This is on a planet where Spock said there's no life.
Oh wow!
Right. Yes, he did say that. And they don't know what the space anomaly is, so it's an invasion. So the only thing that helps me with that is that I already know it's going to be an alternate universe, but I don't even know where I am.
An invasion would have been a better plot. It
would have been more fun. I agree.
Yeah.
But what of Lazarus?
During the wink, the planet suddenly had a life form on it, but in this episode it's called a life object, and Spock over explains its physical makeup, but don't worry about that diversion. It's just a human. And then we get a captain's log. Stardate 3087.6. While investigating an uncharted planet, the Enterprise, and at least this entire quadrant of space, has been subjected to violent, unexplained stress and force. Sensors have reported the presence of a human being on the planet below who might be connected with the phenomenon. With my first officer and security team, I have set out in search of him.
We get four red shirts, and none of them get killed. Not even
Isn't that nice? They all survive. It's so sweet.
So that trope doesn't always hold up, right? Yes. I'm sure they're happy for it.
Yes, and they walk around. They find what Scotty calls the Jetsons car.
That is a Jetsons car. It's not what I call it. That's what it looks like.
Oh yeah, no, I like it better than me calling it a flying saucer.
Unfortunately, we don't see it again, right? They could have made it a little bit bigger. I mean, that doesn't even look practical.
I've got like a 5,000 piece puzzle of the original series of Star Trek, and it has all of the notable characters from the original series. And every time I put it together, because I put it together 3 times already, the first thing I do is put together the Jetsons car, and I build around it.
That rock right there that you see behind the ship, right on the other side of that rock is where Kirk fought the Gorn in most of those scenes. This is just the reverse side of it. So that's why it's in shade right now. This was filmed, by the way, in the morning. I'm guessing about 10 or 11 a.m.
Oh, so I was wrong.
No, you weren't wrong.
No, in terms of it being made on a late Sunday afternoon.
Nope.
If it was made in the morning.
Right, because we're looking at the eastern sky. So the sun has not came over to the west yet. So this is about 10 or 11 a.m. And considering this is late November.
Well, you're the one who's been there. You would know the geography of the Vasquez Rocks better than I.
Many times, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I can't wait to get a close-up of that ship.
That's pretty good. Pop culture curator is a compass. Cardinal Sin says, "Isn't it funny when they turn the cameras one way and the cast runs to another?"
Yes. Even Voyager is better than New Trek. Well, don't be disparaging Voyager like that.
Oh, yeah, but it is better than New Trek.
It is.
Mega Cropper says Scotty R37 is more entertaining. Is very entertaining.
I am entertaining, but you know what? I would like to address that, and I would say that Doomcock actually puts on a better show than I do. I just get to respond to Jill and Pop Culture Curator.
Yeah, that's right. He puts on a better show than I do too.
Yeah,
come on, so don't something that I can't even read out loud.
Although I am sick and tired of Cthulhu's. F Cthulhu's.
Well,
I'm saying it. I'm saying it. I don't like Cthulhu's. I'm having a tantrum on my birthday.
Okay. I love Harvey.
Cthulhu's are stupid.
Complain about that.
Well, I don't like it.
It's not like he can do anything about it. If he doesn't contain Harvey, then he's going to destroy everything.
Well, then he is doing the Lord's work.
I have a question. I saw a tweet by Robert Meyer Burnett where he called out Doomcock. How did Doomcock respond to that? Was it the same way when I called him out, or no?
Huh? It was no. There was a challenge issued by RMB to
watch.
Doomcock, the first 4 episodes of season 3 of Star Trek Patrick Stewart.
Right, but I'm wondering if Doomcock went off on him like he did me. Is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, come on. I mean,
or did he agree to the challenge? Is my question.
No, he didn't.
Okay. RMB went off on you? I wish that RMB
would go off
on me. Oh, Doomcock went off on you.
Not for my question, but just because I used the word. Yeah, that's a different topic. I was just wondering. I don't know if he's doing
that. He's not going to be doing that. No.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. Cardinalson says that he's been waiting so long for the 3rd reboot of Futurama because I mentioned Bender, and they had to wait until they actually got the actor for Bender in order to say whether or not they were doing it, and they aren't going to do it.
Well, it's good they held out.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he did. He held out for better money or something.
Oh, smart man.
He is. Herc 130. Hey, Herc 130. He said, I thought this was a good but weird episode. Too much for an overexcited 8-year-old to understand.
Well, there's a positive outlook. There we go. We need more Hercs in the world.
Right?
Oh, when we get to the end of the episode, I want us all to sort of brainstorm on how to rewrite this episode to be better.
Okay. Franco Walker says he enjoyed Prodigy. Oh.
And I've never seen Prodigy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see it because apparently it is the truest of the new tracks.
Okay, I need to stop.
And I agree with Sean Carter in that last statement.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that too. But
New Trek is for 80 IQ peeps.
Hey, Matt G just tipped $1.50, as Omniback would say. Give Jill some effing money, asshole.
Why did you say effing?
Stream Element, shame on you. Stream Element, shame on you.
I don't know.
If I could paraphrase, no, it's not Friday, but I'm going to swear I'm going to take my birthday privilege, and I'm just going to say that Matt G just tipped $1.50, as Omnivac would say. Give Jill some fucking money, a-hole.
What's Omnivac?
I don't. It's a
you did the reverse of what I did.
I know.
That's funny.
I thought it was like a vacuum cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
No, a Roomba.
Cthulhu's fezzes are cool. All right.
Oh, well, you know what? If a Cthulhu had a fez on, I would be more amicable. Is that what Harvey is? Does Harvey wear a fez?
Okay, so let's get through this episode. Yes, Harvey
No, I don't want to.
And here's where they all get to do some hiking.
Yeah, they do some hiking, and they find the flying saucer. And Lazarus appears on the rocks up here, and he's crazy fanatic.
Watch me fall, everybody.
Yeah, he falls quite a bit. But he passes out.
Drama queen, yeah.
So that's all that happens here. Rest in peace, red shirts, says Kronos. But no, the red shirts stay alive. That's the crazy part.
I have something I'd like to share about Nichelle Nichols now that you have the scene of her.
Sure.
All right. This is short. It's from Inside Star Trek, The Real Story by Herb Solow and Bob Justman. And I'll make this fast. Despite Roddenberry's marital and extramarital relationships, his attachment to Nichelle Nichols continued throughout the run of the series. Nichelle was in San Francisco appearing on the Gypsy Rose Lee Show to introduce her new epic record album when she wrote the following letter to Roddenberry. Dear Gene Big Daddy Roddenberry, I adore you. Isn't it wonderful? Everything. How does it feel to be so damn big, beautiful, brilliant, and successful capitalist executive creator of big, out-of-this-world, magnificent TV series? Thy talent cup runneth over. My record company wants to start on the album tying in the idea of outer space. So listen, big, beautiful daddy. You put your genius to work on it. After all, it's all your fault. If you hadn't believed in me, Epic, the recording company, would never have heard me sing. My life is yours, baby. I love you, busy man. Keep the faith, baby. Hailing frequencies open, sir. Love, Nichelle. Roddenberry made suggestions to Nichelle regarding her new outer space album. He did not, however, seek a royalty or piece of the profits. There we go. Thank you, Jill.
Well, that's good. At least that.
So she called him Big Daddy.
She did. Yeah, I had heard about that relationship. As I've said before, Gene Roddenberry loved humanity.
Yes,
mostly the ladies.
Yeah.
And so,
why does Gene Roddenberry get to go bottomless all the time, and I got to wear pants?
Oh, we don't.
Who's the Commodore?
He pops up in the later Star Trek episode.
I don't know. Who is he? You tell me. I didn't catch it.
I don't know. Like, I was kind of half asleep when I was watching this.
Well, I don't know. It's just a thing that happened. A super duper thing happened on the planet. And
okay. So Commodore Gary here.
The mass disappeared. The electromagnetic force became not just unwound, but missing. Oh, wait. Where is that? I missed something.
Oh, there is.
I think I missed Lieutenant Masters, didn't I?
No, not yet. She doesn't show up. Oh, wait, yeah, she does. She shows up and she says the dilithium crystals were all effed out of whack based on the blinking.
Right. She says that and I like her a lot. She's one of the parts of the episode that I enjoy. I enjoy seeing her, and she says that the dilithium crystals are drained, but despite that, it's kind of crazy.
And why is she wearing red?
Right. She's not wearing red. She doesn't
curious.
She doesn't have a stripe like Lieutenant Uhura does.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to mention Richard Durr, who played Commodore Barstow, which you guys just saw in the clip or the shot.
Well, there you go, Barstow.
Barstow, like in Barstow, California. Mm-hmm. Later played Admiral Fitzgerald in Star Trek: The Mark of Gideon.
Ooh.
Oh, great. He's in another episode. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But different character, which kind of messes with continuity, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And like I was saying about the dilithium crystals being drained, don't worry about it too much because everyone forgets about the crystals being drained at the end of the episode. So
right.
You don't really have to worry about it.
Oh, my God.
Everything's all good.
So Cardinal Sin just tipped $35. Thank you. He says, you're doing great every week, better and better. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I do appreciate input, whether it's constructive criticism or praise. I'll take them both.
Well, in terms of criticism, I would say that you have to tip $45 because I'm 45 today.
Right. So, happy birthday.
Cardinal saying you owe us $10.
No.
Sorry.
That's not true.
That was rude.
It was a little rude, but you know
rude.
What? You're allowed to be rude too.
Is there air?
You don't know. Uhura says it's an invasion, so Kirk calls for battle stations, and Barstow says, not only did the weird stuff happen for you, it happened all over the galaxy. And he compounds the weird garbage that's happening here. So now we have the disappearance of mass, the electromagnetic field, energy from dilithium crystals, gravity, changes in radiation, and Starfleet even managed to quantify a time warp distortion.
There is something pleasant about this episode that it is the crew not knowing what is going on. And they don't know until the end of the episode.
That's right. They don't. And nobody knows until the end of the episode. And it's amazing. Well, these kind of high stakes that are happening with very poor reasoning.
Yeah, I have a feeling the writer probably didn't know what was happening until they got to the end either.
Yeah. So believing it's an invasion, Starfleet makes Enterprise the bait. And that might have been, great if it wasn't just a red herring.
Now, I had a thought about the direction of this episode. Is that the gentleman who plays Lazarus, Robert Brown?
Yes.
He, for some reason, the eye lighting, which is a signature of classic Star Trek, yes. I feel like they did this to make it so he wouldn't flail. They wanted to keep him in frame, and with very little direction, it was like, okay, you got to maintain the eye light. And he's like, all right.
One reason why they used highlight was to emphasize the performance, but when it's a weak performance, it's not very believable. And he's supposed to be looking at Kirk, but he's looking slightly down. I don't think he's talking to anybody else. He's just reading his lines, and it even sounds that way.
Right.
And see the wall directly behind him? That would make Kirk's quarters extremely small.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
And
even
that's
think.
what that tells you?
Yeah, this scene right here, what you're looking at right now, was not shot at the same time as the one we see where he's facing Kirk, and we see them both in the same shot in Kirk's quarters.
Hmm.
This may be the briefing room, I'm guessing.
So Matt G just tipped $1. He says, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh, you're in the money. You're in the money.
Even though the sound of it is simply quite precocious.
And atrocious.
Sure, whatever. I don't know the lyrics.
I do, but I won't sing it.
Diddly. Anyway.
Say what you will about Star Trek, says Cardinal Sin. It inspired generations of engineers and other STEM space fields. I love Star Trek. That's why I have this show. And every other time, all the other 19 episodes we reviewed recently are just amazing classics that I love deeply. So this is just a weird day.
Yeah, a lot of the technology that we're surrounded by and we use every day is inspired by Star Trek. Can you imagine the world without it, what we wouldn't have?
Right. Or what would have taken longer to figure out.
Yep.
I would have never met any of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there would be no Star Trek community, of course.
That too. And Captain James Caserta says,
and Mr. Spoof.
Happy birthday, Scotty.
Thank you very much.
And Matt G is posting the link to Doomcock's channel at Overlord DVD. So subscribe to Doomcock, click the bell, and join his live streams. Tomorrow he'll have his pop culture breakdown show, which is obviously his pop culture show, and then on Friday he has his party. He just does a party every Friday. And yeah, well, the live streams are my favorite part, Cronus, of Doomcock.
Mine too.
So yeah. Then Sean Cotter says, kind of like Chief Giotto changed his name to Robert Wesley and got promoted to Commodore within a year. And Devil in the Dark and Ultimate
Bob Wesley, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. JD Lewis says, "Oh, happy Tuesday, everybody."
Hello
Tuesday.
There.
And Cronus says, "Wow, anti-derivative Jill ignored me." And he feels slighted. Oh, I didn't read all of this. He says, "What are pants? Someone is rich. Wacky dilithium.
It is
Can
wacky
you snort
dilithium.
them? Big Time is a song, and the tips count."
The tips do, just the tips.
Is there air? You don't know. Breath.
You know, I was watching something about, I was watching a YouTube video about Star Trek, and they were talking about women of color in STEM, and they were like, it inspired, but unfortunately there hasn't been that many. And I was like, does no one care about Mae Jemison anymore? The first, black lady in space? Like, she's an astronaut. And
yes, and that she was also part of Nichelle Nichols' program to get more women into space.
Yeah, it's one of those things in the modern world where it's like, oh, look at Mike Burnham, first lady of color in Star Trek.
No, I know.
And
that's
like,
why I'm upset.
On.
I'm sure I have another still of Lieutenant Masters because I really do love her in this episode, and I wanted to see more of her during this. I didn't know she was going to have a romance. That would have been cool. Cardinal Sin says NASA went to the Star Trek lot and asked them, "How do you get your doors to close like that?" And they told them, "We have two guys on the other side, and they just pull the doors and push them in." Yes.
It seems odd since they had pneumatic doors back then. They just were rare.
Mega Cropper says, "Can we have a flat Earth stream someday for the algorithm?" Yeah, right. Exactly. Star Trek pioneered the automatic doors, which we have now.
No, Kronos, don't toy. That's not funny.
Oh, no. Okay.
I have to look now. I have to look this up.
No, he's not. William Shatner is alive.
That's all I wanted.
Yes.
Thank you. You made me feel better.
You're welcome. I would feel it. It would be like something wrong would I would feel it, I think.
Like when the Intrepid blows up.
Or like Alderaan, when suddenly 1,000
Yeah.
voices scream out and then suddenly go silent.
Oh my God. I don't know what I would do today.
We'll all wake up screaming in the middle of the night.
Die on my birthday.
Right.
No, he can't. He won't. Grilla's Random Thought says, I think I know exactly what I'll talk about on my next Random Thoughts with Grilla.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
So Lazarus says, that's how I came down there, Captain, pursuing the devil's own spawn, a thing I chased across the universe. He's humanoid outside, but inside he's a hideous, murderous monster. I'll get him, Captain, I swear it. And okay, this is he. Okay, right. Anyway, the devil spawn. I mean, I'm watching Star Trek. No, okay, so this is Star Trek's very first attempt, and also the worst attempt at a Moby Dick story, and they will do much better with this theme later.
See, I don't get the comparison to Moby Dick. It's
I don't
just
either.
a crazy, yeah.
It's just simply the threadbare line of the obsession between the two men to go after each other and to hunt down the opposite. That's all it is. That's the only similarity I see with a Moby Dick.
I agree. Lazarus is claiming that just one man caused all of this weird subfraction of the universe, I don't really know, to lose existence for a fraction of a second. And none of this makes any sense, even when spoken in generalities by Lazarus, who says he's anti-life, he destroys. So his co-officer on the bridge, whom Spock spends most of his time working next to, said she found another humanoid on this planet. So what does Spock do when his instruments don't line up with her claims? He calls Lazarus a liar.
God, yes. That's not something Spock would say.
No. My visceral response to that was no.
Spock. Why?
Yeah, he would say something along the lines of he's incapable of telling the truth or something like that.
No, but he's not calling Lazarus a liar. He's calling Uhura a liar because Uhura was the one who relayed this information. She would not tell Spock that there's a humanoid just based on what Lazarus says. She would have she would have done her own scan. And just because Spock then goes to do his own rescan, because he says he rescans it, so ostensibly she scanned it first and said there was life, and then he rescans it and doesn't find life. So what he's doing is actually calling Uhura a liar, which is even worse than calling Lazarus one. And so he's completely forgotten the scientific method here and how different results can happen under different circumstances, especially knowing that there are weird things going on. He shouldn't be calling anybody a liar here. And that is just the first time this episode in which the crew, who are usually portrayed as a family, who have some kind of level of bonding and trust for one another, completely disbelieve and mistrust each other instead in this episode. And it happens more than this time. And it's completely infuriating to me.
Yeah, it's not like it's out of character.
Mm-hmm. So he caused the effects on the galaxy, the whole galaxy. And this kind of grandiose destruction of everything is kind of lazy writing. So there's a threat to the entire galaxy caused by a force unknown that impacts everything all at once, with no logic or anything discernible by Spock's scientific deductions. And even Spock has forgotten some science. Maybe some of that winking out. Oh man, I'm not going to say this. Oh.
Say it.
Yeah, it doesn't help that they just blur the camera. That's lazy.
No, I can't say it. It hurts. It hurts. This episode hurts. It hurts to say bad things about Spock. It hurts to say bad things about the series. But
what was sad is the fact that they shot, because the fact they were behind schedule, and they even had to shoot an extra day or so. That even made the crunch on the special effects department even shorter and smaller. So unfortunately, as bad as it looks, it's not the special effects department. They probably only had a day or so to prepare this and do this.
Well, and also I noticed when I was watching this episode that I was just like, wait a second, that's not Lazarus, but it was photo negative when they fight. And I was like, oh, this is an easy way to get away with not,
stuntmen, right?
Stuntmen. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And having to do double exposure with two actors, or with the same actor in the same scene doing twice the double exposure.
Yeah.
This was a cheaper way of doing it.
Is this the first time that we see the Lazari together?
Yes. This is the first time they fight. And so everything goes crazy. And actually, while I was watching these special effects make me laugh. But I don't know if I'm laughing to comfort myself or whether I'm actually enjoying it.
Yes, your brain is trying to cover up the pain.
So there's that. There's the fighting. They're wrestling.
Yay! It's so exciting, isn't it?
Oh my god!
Exciting. And then everything goes spinny, and then everything goes all fuzzy wuzzy.
And we have late in the evening, everybody, at Vasquez Rock. So, what happened to the whole day? And I'll explain that, because what happens is basically, notice how they went from pretty much almost practically high noon, then now it's night. Here it's almost dark, and it's even overcast. You can see the clouds like it's going to rain. And then that next shot you showed where Kirk is looking down at Lazarus and he's on the ground. That's shot at night with studio lights.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least very late in the day, but there are studio lights deployed. But the thing is they shot these scenes out of sequence. So basically that time missing from when he left to where he came back is where they were shooting the scene that we're going to be seeing coming up in a few minutes. And I'll point that out.
Okay, great. And you know how I'll usually use... how I usually explain the scenes? Well, this is how I explain this scene of the alternative factor. Bang, bang, lightning, boom.
I like your sound effects, Jill.
Thanks. And then we get another captain's log, even though they're not very helpful. Starting 3088.
Oh my god, this is the episode that made you not want to read a captain's log?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Stardate 3088.3, we continue to orbit the dead planet, which seems to be the source of the phenomenon, which has struck the Enterprise and all sections of the galaxy once again. As for Lazarus, the story he tells me about the humanoid continues to trouble me. And so, I think I've had a few chats here, so let's see.
Oh, and for the record, I was looking ahead and I asked you, Jill, but yes. Apparently the nebula used in the background for this episode was the Trifid Nebula.
I think it's Trifid, maybe because there's only one else.
I'm going to say Trifid because it sounds better.
Like Day of the Trifids? Maybe that's where the Trifids came from, right?
Yeah, no, I'm going to be wrong on purpose and say Day of the Trifids Nebula.
Okay. Kronos says nothing about this live stream is not logical. Thank you, Kronos.
That's a double negative.
Mm-hmm. A positive double negative.
Hooray.
And hello to Euler Greg.
Hey.
Euler Greg says, Starfleet has ridiculously good communication across extreme distances in this episode. You're right. Usually they communicate across radio frequencies, like they have like interlays, or they have, I don't know. Well, but this is direct. They have direct contact with Starfleet.
Right. As a production note, Euler Greg is right. This is the first episode where they establish they have immediate communication rather than having a delay of the signal, like it would be in real life. In real life, there'd be a delay.
Right, which makes sense. So this episode doesn't make sense. Yamas Queen Jess says, still who is better? This episode, Spock, or Klutzman desecrated version of Spock? You're right. This Spock is better. You're right, Yamas Queen Jess. Thank you for putting it into perspective.
And Spock with no brain in Spock's brain was still better than them.
But I'm judging these episodes against all the other original series episodes, not against the filth. Otherwise, every episode would get an A+.
Right, apples and oranges, people.
Yeah, right. J.D. Lewis says, this episode is so awful, it hurt me in places I didn't even know I had. Buzzy Wuzzy was a woman. Thank you for catching the reference to the child's poem I was referencing. And Franco Walker says, Kronos, yes, great film. I watched it again not long ago on Netflix. Wait, what film?
See no evil, hear no evil.
Oh, okay, thank you. We must all battle ourselves, and for each of us, it's the entire universe at stake, says Euler Greg. Of course it was the Trifid, not the Crab Nebula. And Kronos says, crabs sound itchy.
Pinchy.
And a bit scratchy. So here, at least Spock is being honest. He says he still has no idea what is happening. Me either. He says
that was Robert Brown's dramatic reading. Kill. What a weird performance.
Well, he didn't have any time to go to rehearsal either.
Right. I give him credit. He did give it his all.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
And Spock says that a single creature, a humanoid, could be responsible for an effect of such magnitude.
And here's where we see the amount of blood in his mouth fluctuating from scene to scene. From
right.
little to a lot to a little to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also, it's interesting to note that in the 23rd century, they don't have dermal regenerators. They still have to use bandages.
And it has to heal naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Herc 130 says, I enjoyed the ideas presented by the writers, something that makes you think about the concepts and thoughts that provide more conversation. I don't get wrapped up around the axle about trivial details. And that's a very lovely way to look at it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree. Herc. Like, this episode is bad. It's a bad episode, but it's still like fun. It's still I would rather be watching this than anything doing with the Michael Burnham adventures.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a great thing to look into the ideas of other dimensions and other realities.
As I asked, we should rewrite this episode at the end of the recap.
Kronos says, I could write better stories than the Fake Treks shows, and I don't even know how to write. Yeah.
Well, neither do they, so there you go.
Right. And JD Lewis says, this episode makes me want to take a shower afterwards. Herc 130 says, I give writers give writers lots of leeway while working within 1966 corporate public television.
Well, and there was something that I heard recently
Spock
in terms of like the Hays Code of Hollywood, which was sort of a censorship board. And yeah, there's a lot of things that were sort of, no, you can't do that. You can't do this.
Taboo, yes.
Yeah.
So, and now we know that Lazarus, so Lazarus is hurt, like pop culture said. And now for that, we can tell the Lazarus is apart. So.
And Bones does diagnose him as being an ordinary human.
Yes. So the main physician on the ship, Captain Kirk's doctor, McCoy, wants to talk to Kirk, but Kirk kind of acts really rude to him, like he has better things to do. He says, Bones, I've got a lot of things to do. Get to the point. Really, here's the second time the man whose word you usually trust and your main confidant is speaking to you, and all you can do is tell him you have no time for him. Why are we even watching an episode where the characters are wasting time, saying they don't have time? There is a mystery, and you should listen to your doctor. And McCoy isn't innocent here either. While Kirk should be listening to him, the doctor should be watching his patient. So McCoy tells Kirk that Lazarus's wound has disappeared, and also that Lazarus himself, who is already clearly very insane, is roaming the ship on his own.
Mm-hmm. But I thought that was
right. They never sent him to the brig or had security watch over him.
And
I don't know, Jim. It's a big ship.
I know. I'm just a country doctor. What
exactly?
What kind of dialogue is this?
Do your job.
There's no excuse for letting a demented patient roam around unsupervised. And so, since his wound disappears, McCoy says this wound disappears. This is Lazarus B from the alternate dimension, the one who's more rational. But I don't, of course, rational in his wanting to destroy the universe. I don't know. But I don't promise that I'm going to be able to keep track of this. I might mess up, but I think I actually did a good job of it.
Well, they're doing like they did with the episode of the two Kirks. They're saying automatically, since there's two of them, one must be violent and one must be benevolent. So I guess that seems to be the trope.
And James Caserta says there's some sumptuous music. Yes. Yeah, the music is always good. Yeah, the music is always good. Everybody looks great.
Well, and that's, and say what you will about the episode, and we will, but the music is actually, I really enjoyed the music because I was looking for anything to like.
Mm-hmm. Me too. JD Lewis says a year after this episode, Robert Brown co-starred in Here Comes the Brides.
I remember watching that show. Yes, I remember.
And Mark Leonard. Cool.
Right, David Soul from Starsky and Hutch, ladies and gentlemen, if you for old people or young people.
And you'll remember Mark Leonard from the Planet of the Apes television show.
That's right. That little known actor named Mark Leonard.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, not Sarek.
Not Sarek. Not the Klingon commander, right? No.
Romulan.
Was it Klingon in motion picture?
Yes.
Oh, and Romulan.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Sorry. That's right.
Oh,
Klingon
no,
and
but you're right. He was also Klingon.
That's right. And you're right, too. He was also a Romulan. So it's like, that man definitely had range.
And he was a gorilla.
And I was wondering about this. What is that object at that table where Brown is sitting? Or Lazarus?
Oh, that little machine, the computer?
Well, I'd say big machine, because aren't you supposed to be able to eat in there? Or because those things are taking up the entire table.
Well, this is, I would say it's a game.
It's probably a game. You're right. That's a good point. Because every other table has a game on it. So that's a logical conclusion.
Very possible.
It's
very
Battleship.
Good, Scotty. So Lazarus is roaming around with no one to stop him, hanging around the crew members in the rec room. And Lieutenant Masters, this is the first still I actually get of her. She's here. And there's a engineer here. She's also an engineer, but she doesn't have, you can see here, she doesn't have her lieutenant stripe there.
No.
She should, but
nobody's paying attention that day.
I know, no one's paying attention to her. Like, I feel like she would be a really great character.
You see the walls? More. You see the walls and you see the separator, like the strip of aluminum. You see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
This is the room where they shot the scene of Lazarus earlier when he was supposed to be in Kirk's quarters. They shot it in this room.
Oh, okay.
I would never catch that. David Soul saying, "Don't give up on us, baby."
Yes, he did. One-hit wonder.
Mm-hmm. And Kronos asks, "What's a plomik?" So plomik is a Vulcan culinary term for either plomik soup or plomik tea. Type of food for Vulcan.
Like Italian.
Yeah, plomik is kind of like the Vulcan version of turmeric.
So Kirk says, "Oh man, okay, so we're not there yet." Oh, Lazarus B. Okay, this is Lazarus B.
Well, I want to explain too, since he's already out of sick bay, that Lazarus, when he gets up from the sick bay bed, the heart monitor is still detecting his heart, and it starts pumping faster when he starts going through the experience. When I think it's only supposed to work when you're on the bed, right?
That's what I would assume.
Wow. Hey, that's a good point. I believe you that's what happened there. Yes, absolutely. If you're not on the bed, then the reader shouldn't be reading you. Otherwise, it would be reading McCoy while he's diagnosing you.
Right. And all the other heartbeats in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And in this scene, of course, we're getting a winking in and out, but nobody else on the ship notices for some reason.
Yes, right. So that's very inconsistent in this episode. Every time this winking happens, sometimes they notice it, sometimes they don't. Who knows? So very good observation there. Lazarus B, he freaks out, he has a fit, and we get another nebula and another fight.
And the same music. God.
And Lazarus
over and over.
Yeah, so Lazarus gets his wound again, so now he's Lazarus A again.
But they decided not to use the engineering set in this episode for some reason. So they built the set just for this episode. I don't know why.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's why there's a new console.
Right, a new console. There's no Scotty and there's no engineering. It's just a completely different set. Mm-hmm. But who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, that would have been nice to learn more about. Kirk and McCoy see Lazarus. And we have
right after the wink, right after the wink, they step out of the elevator like nothing happened.
Right. And we have an exchange that culminates in this. So Kirk sees that Lazarus does have his wound when McCoy told him he didn't. So he says, "No, I have a ship's physician with a strange sense of humor." And McCoy says, "This is no joke, Jim. I know what I saw." And so again, this is another example, even worse this time.
It is, because he would not be denigrating Bones right there in front of that guy.
That's right. And again, Kirk would trust McCoy. And Kirk is not this stupid just to think, oh, well, nothing must be happening because look, he's totally fine. He has the wound. And so there's nothing weird going on here.
Right. No reason to believe Bones, right? After all this they've been through together. No reason to believe Bones.
Well, he's kind of dropped the ball this episode. He's like, I don't know where he is. My patient wandering the ship aimlessly.
No, I know, but Kirk should trust what he says.
Because going back on that, they should have had security at his bedside.
That's true.
Well, we'll get to that, but here's a preview.
And would you get that muscle man out of my sick bay?
There we go.
Okay, so Kirk says, "On my way, Lazarus. You're with me. Bones, if I had time, I'd laugh." And so he's just being completely rude.
Yeah, gee, thanks, Jim. That's very considerate of you and compassionate.
Right.
It seems so like William Shatner doesn't even want to be here for this episode.
Like I said, it was made in a late afternoon on Sunday. But also...
Everybody's grouchy. Everyone's grouchy.
I'm getting grouchy.
There is... Well, I'm sorry. I'm probably causing that. But, like, the thing is that I do appreciate the triumvirate of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but I do also like the episodes where Kirk sort of exerts his command and says, we're doing this. Like, you don't have a say. We are looking down the barrel of a priority 1 prelude to invasion. So
that's what happened last week with Arena.
Get your crap together. No, but that wasn't a prelude to galactic invasion. That was just defense of a Federation outpost.
Yeah, but he thought, Captain Kirk thought at the time that could be the prelude for an invasion from that whoever the race was, which he didn't know at the time.
True. Okay. Then I'll sit in the back seat.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah,
that's just an opinion.
No. I'm not. I don't take it. I'm not offended.
I appreciate all of the opinions. So there's some radiation on the planet, and for no reason at all, Spock makes the mental leapfrog all the way to the conclusion that there's a rip in the universe.
A door.
A hole.
And this is another episode where you can see William Shatner saying, I want that line, I want that line, and I want that line. It's very obvious here.
Yeah, but when
he practically talks to himself,
show, you have that option,
right? But he practically answers his own questions here. It's like you could tell where he's taking lines from other actors.
Oh, that's a good point because he does that, but we don't have any proof of which lines he does take. But that's a good point. He does
actually.
I should have taken clips. It was some of them was when he was talking to Spock.
Originally, Sulu was supposed to be in this episode, and he took all of Sulu's lines.
Him and Scotty are out getting drunk, I imagine.
Exactly.
You know,
George. Yes, right. Jim. Well, we're going to go to the bar. Why is that? Because Bill wants all the lines.
Well, and what's funny is all the years later, they were probably very relieved that they weren't in this episode. And so when they were at the conventions and fans were asking them questions, they never brought this up. So I'm sure they were happy.
I saw an interview with an actor recently, and it was that they had not been written into a specific episode, and he was devastated by it. It was Sam Levine from an episode of Freaks and Geeks, and he told his mom, and he was like, I'm not in this week's episode. And she was like, well, that's lovely. Then you get a week off. And he said, yeah, Mom, but I don't get paid. And she was like, oh, no. So,
right. And I do like Freaks and Geeks. It was a shame that only one season. Yeah.
Wow, you like that? I liked it too. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's like a one-hit wonder, lightning in a bottle. I introduced that to many friends.
And thank you, Cardinal Sin. Good to see you, and have a great day. Don't kill anybody, especially not yourself from an antimatter universe.
Oh yeah, Cardinal Sin says, "Gotta go, stuff to do. Have a great day, everyone. You have a great day too, Cardinal Sin. I'll see you later."
And don't think I'll forget about that $10 you owe Jill.
Okay. Krona says, I give this episode a Z-. And Yama's Queen Jess references the animated series episode we have not gotten to yet. She says,
I can't wait.
Kirk is a jerk.
Hey, Yamas.
Mm. And JD Lewis says, a year after this episode, Rob. Oh, yeah. Oh, I did read that. I read that about Here Comes the Bride. Okay, so that's where I was. Sean Carter says, I mentioned this on Pop Stream last night, but isn't it interesting how much Lazarus looks like John Holmes? They had much different Jeffries tubes.
John Holmes, of course, being Sherlock Holmes' younger brother.
Yeah. X-rated version.
Mm-hmm. Laying pipe.
Yes. And Franco Walker, I'll ask questions about that later. Franco Walker says, no one is looking at the censors. No, nobody's looking at the censors in the episode. Not at the right times, anyway, except for Uhura. And when Uhura reports, Spock's like, no, I'm going to recheck the censors. And the censors say something different. And yeah, she's a liar. Right. Anyway, I'm way too angry about that. I don't think anyone else has ever been angry about that. But Krona says, I'm sensing annoyance. No, I'm having fun. Sort of.
Sort of.
Says, how do you notice non-existence? The only way that they notice it is that their sensors notice nothing. So since their sensors blink out, they think the universe is blinked out.
Yeah, it can't be a problem with the sensors.
No. They're working perfectly, they said. And Mega Cropper says Bones would have been a YouTuber. And Kronos asks, is it wrong to look at Uhura's legs? No. And Frankie answers that no, too.
That's why she wasn't wearing pants.
Right. Captain Phantom Nerd says it is wrong not to look at her legs. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we've gone to from John Holmes to looking at Nichelle Nichols' legs. I'm afraid.
So Kirk is confused. So Spock makes it worse by describing the rip as a physical warp. Neither of these things mean anything. He says he was able to pinpoint the radiation using the dilithium crystals. And Lazarus says he needs the crystals to destroy the creature. Kirk will not give this insane man the crystals. So at least there's that. And at least there's this scene right here, which is the thumbnail of my video. He says to Lazarus, how? Now you tell me how. All I've heard is double talk, lies, threats, accusations that don't hold water. Now you tell me how it presents a danger to my ship. And this is some good acting from William Shatner right here. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, would this be a good time to call security and have him surrounded?
Exactly. That's what should have. You're exactly right. That's what it should have happened here. But
there's a
what
security.
He says
there's a member
here,
of security on the bridge.
Yeah, but
he's not involved. It's like, what are you doing? Where's your job at? But
we'll get to that when we see Lazarus and Kirk fight later. When there's a bunch of security guys who are like, "Hey, look at the captain. He's fighting."
I know,
somebody.
cool.
Let's stand back.
Yeah, right. Pop culture's right. The security should be surrounding him, taking him to the brig. But I do like this line from Kirk, and since I like one line from this episode, I'm just going to hang on just for a minute. This is how I feel about this episode. That line, the entirety of it. But of course, Lazarus does nothing in response to this except demanding the crystals. So he leaves the bridge via the turbolift, Lazarus does, and has another fit with the nebula overlay.
Yeah, those things are becoming quite convenient, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So now he doesn't have a Band-Aid, so now he's Lazarus B. And so as Lazarus B, he goes to engineering where Lieutenant Masters is working diligently to repower the dilithium crystals, and she is in command of her work. I just wish I could have seen more of her in this episode. But here, all she does with the main guest star is get knocked out by him.
And this is the first time we see the dilithium crystals in that form.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like rock crystals before.
Like those, The design of the dilithium crystals does return in that shape again a couple times, I think.
Nice. So,
not in Elan of Troyes, but other episodes.
Look at the size of those computers. Love it, don't you?
I do.
Yes. And here, Lazarus uses some kind of injection to knock her out. And at least he lets her down gently, even though she doesn't get any lines. Oh, she does get a line. Like, she's talking about,
Captain Ugg.
I know. Yeah, yes. She does call out for the captain, at least. Every even though she doesn't get much, whatever she does get, I really like her.
Oh, Kronos, how wrong you are.
And at least this captain's log is accurate, so this is a good captain's log. Oh, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you can regrow them unless they are Klingon crystals. No, there's no way to recrystallize dilithium while in the chamber. Even in the 23rd century, they can't do that, according to Scotty in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
Right, that's why they need the nuclear vessels.
In Alameda?
Mm-hmm. Captain's log, Stardate 3088.7. We are no closer to finding an answer to the strange phenomenon than we were at the beginning. Not only have 2 of my crewmen been attacked, 2 of our dilithium crystals are missing, and without them, the Enterprise cannot operate at full power.
I wonder where they could have went. I mean, it's like, what? He doesn't know?
Right. And I've gone... Oh, my God. This episode is just giving me a lot of pain at this point. I guess writing the script for this episode.
Did we get to the scene where he beamed down yet?
Can we get to that scene, please?
Well, I'm not in a hurry. I was just wondering.
I am.
So then we get Lazarus A again. His head injury's back. He's in the briefing room trying to explain the exposition to this episode and why Lazarus B needs the crystals. For some reason, for the same reason I do. Listen to me. He's humanoid. Why? He can pilot a spaceship. He can compute formulas to destroy races. He can steal an energy source for his vehicle so he can escape from me. Are you deaf as well as blind?
Well, what doesn't make sense, too, is throughout the whole episode is Lazarus is making this other being seem like some kind of monster, some kind of unrelatable god, some kind of this, blowing everything out of proportion when he could simply say, well, he's just another me. He looks just like me, guys. If you see someone else that looks just like me.
That's right. They wanted to make it some kind of big twist and reveal that he was chasing himself, but in keeping that just a mystery, they completely destroyed the actual storytelling elements to make the episode make any logical sense.
Or to try to make it. Yeah.
You're right. That's exactly what he would have done. You can make an episode interesting without having to hide your... You can have different kinds of twists without compromising the audience's intelligence.
Yes.
I mean, that wasn't quite right the way I stated that, but you know what I mean.
Oh, no, you're fine. It makes sense.
The source of the radiation disappeared once they get on the planet. So we're going to go to the planet, just like Scotty wanted a minute ago. There we go.
Thank heavens.
The source of the radiation disappeared. Once they get there, the Starfleet team split up to find the source manually, while Lazarus A goes off by himself and has another Nebula moment where he fights again.
And this is the scene that was filmed during the day in between the first scene I mentioned earlier and the nighttime scene.
Mm-hmm. And it's so windy that it makes everything blurry.
Well, what's funny too is if you notice this is another old trope in Hollywood, is that when you see this heavy wind, look at the bushes around behind them in the distance. None of them are moving. So yeah, that's a good fan.
Mm-hmm. Truly a monstrous galactic threat.
Yeah, see the bushes in the back. Right here, you can't see it because it's not a video or it's not moving. But the tree in front of them is moving dramatically from the wind. But the bushes behind them are not.
Right. The agave back there.
Yeah.
I see. That's a good point. I really love all of the production stuff that you notice.
They could have put another fan over there.
Oh, wait. There's the blurriness.
There we go.
You're right. More fans. And so, for absolutely no reason,
Here we go again.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I'm not even going to play the clip. I'm just going to say they fight, they fight, they fight, they fight, they fight.
And back
Fight,
to
fight,
best
fight,
drop.
fight, fight,
Oh,
fight.
here we go. Hey, look at me again.
Yeah, for no reason, he climbs up the cliff where he dislodges a rock that almost hits Kirk. And he decides it's a great idea to leap off with the rock.
And we have overcast. It looks like rain soon.
Yeah, it does. Looks like rain, no doubt.
Big fake rock.
Back in sickbay, Kirk tries to get some answers. None of them make any sense except for learning that the flying saucer is like a TARDIS. Lazarus says it's a time ship, which is used to chase Lazarus B's path of planetary destruction. Lazarus A wants to kill Lazarus B.
Right, but what I don't know, what astounds me is they show the interior of that ship from all angles, and there's no controls. So, or is it like controlled mentally? That ship has no controls. I'm talking about the little saucer. Oh, well.
Yeah, the little saucer, the George Jetson.
Yeah, the little George Jetson car. There's no controls inside of it. So, oh well.
That's a fantastic point. I do not know how to fly the flying saucer.
Well, to ask Sandra, huh? Feliciano's. How do
Yeah.
you fly a plane
Well,
with
yes,
no controls?
Yes, ask Sandra or Raymond, how do you fly that ship?
With no controls, and they'll say you don't.
And the dialogue in this episode, this line always makes me laugh, and it probably because I've broken down to delirium at this point. And so Scotty played this one earlier. It's the only clip I have.
And would you get that muscle man out of my sick bay?
Which, of course, doesn't make any sense because you need the muscle man to
Security,
watch.
right? That would
Lazarus.
be right. It seems like that would be a requirement. Bones wouldn't have any choice.
No, but that's his name. He's Lieutenant Muscleman.
He's probably like, "Thank you, doctor, for the compliment."
Mm-hmm. And so Kirk listens.
I do lift. Thank you for noticing.
This is where he gets out of the bed and it's still heartbeat still going. That's right.
Well, yeah, because Kirk listens to Bones and dismisses the security officer, so Lazarus is free to roam around again. Yay!
I know that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, but not before he has another nebula Caesar.
And here we
I
go.
didn't even bother with it.
And nobody notices, of course.
No. And then we get more explanation. What have you got, Mr. Spock? A magnetic effect which produces a winking out phenomenon, a mysterious, unidentified source of radiation on the planet. Lazarus, a walking powder keg. You're Rip in the universe, a so-called murdering humanoid. And Spock says, "True, Captain, but more significant to me is the fact that our ship's instruments are specifically designed to locate and identify any object in our universe, be it energy or matter." And so the source of the radiation comes from outside of the universe, another dimension occupying the same space. So this is an interesting concept, and the first time that Star Trek delves into the wonderful concept of parallel dimensions. So it's a good idea. It's just how they did it.
Well, and I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe they got to the point where they were tired of the winking out of the entire universe and galaxies, and they told Lazarus to just keep it to himself.
I guess.
Sorry.
No, that was good. It took me a second.
Hey, guy. I know you're from an alternate universe. Just shut up about it.
Right, you're winking out the entire universe and all the galaxies, but can you just pipe it down?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been doing this for a long time anyway, and it didn't bother us before, so it shouldn't be bothering us now.
Right.
Can you guys just go to your corners? Whatever.
Right, and the ship starts shaking and blinking out. Well, it's just Lazarus again.
Yeah, I want to get through this episode. Spock says the possible existence of a parallel universe has been scientifically conceded, Captain. Yes, of course. That's true. And there is a minus universe and a positive universe, which might be the conception of the much better episode on this idea, which is Mirror Mirror. But we'll wait for that one later.
See, I think this is the moment in our reviewing the original series of Star Trek where Jill is saying,
"Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it, okay?
Okay.
There's Jill's review of the alternative factor.
Yes. Thank you. Also, there's a hole in the doorway between the universes. Wait, there's a hole that is the doorway. And oh my god, I'm just saying a whole bunch of nonsense.
Well, because Kirk comes to all those conclusions himself. This is the scene I was talking about earlier.
So this is, and of course, it is revolutionary to discuss the alternate universes, and if one has antimatter and one has matter, and they're touching each other, obviously they would annihilate. So it makes sense that they would have some kind of buffer in between, which is that doorway. So I'm not mad at the corridor. That's fine. Anyway, Spock says, difficult, Captain. One moment paranoid. The next, calm, mild, rational. Almost as if you were two men. So now they notice the differences between the two. And Spock says, two parallel universes project this. One positive, the other negative. Or more specifically, one matter and the other antimatter. So saying that the other dimensions is just antimatter is strange because, of course, matter and antimatter come together, they explode. And so that's exactly what Spock is going, where he's going with this. There will be an annihilation of everything. But instead of being dramatic at this point, it's just kind of funny. So Lazarus,
they are sort of nonchalant about it.
Yeah, they are. So Lazarus A is walking around,
strolling along, right?
Yeah, just strolling along, and he just happens to spot a high voltage access panel.
No security, right?
No
Unlocked.
security. Just this engineering thing is just right here. And so he's starting a fire. So
those are called banana plugs, and they still use them now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And so he opens it, removes a couple of transistors, puts one back, and it shorts out. So he starts a fire.
Well, according to Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire.
But it was always burning.
Since the world's been turning, yes, that's what I was referring to. Thank you.
Welcome. And so then he gets the crystals. This is a diversion to get the crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see Lieutenant Masters again being completely underutilized in this episode. But it's clear it is clear that she has a very important job on the ship. So I like that. And this is that engineering panel Pop Culture Curator was talking about earlier that was built just for this episode.
The recharging station.
Okay. The recharging station.
This panel is supposedly a recharging station for the crystals. That's why they're in the little drawers down below.
Great. That makes sense.
I'm kind of curious if they didn't give Lieutenant Masters a red uniform because she is an engineer. I'm wondering if they did that so that there wouldn't be confusion between her and
Uhura.
Yeah, and I say that with a little bit of sensitivity because I don't think that it's true. They're obviously very striking and different individuals. But
Yes.
for the time, I'm wondering if that was like, oh, they recast Uhura. And it's like, no, different character, yo.
Mm-hmm. And she also got to keep her natural hair and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, she's
that's
hot.
the hair that
She's
the hair
hot.
right. That hair she
is.
has is that's the hair Uhura has in the motion picture.
Yes.
Mm.
And that panel of buttons there above the console. Notice how they're all crooked.
Oh, you and your drills.
Well, you can tell it's handmade, obviously, right? Someone just handmade that and popped some lights in there.
I notice it now.
Mm-hmm, me too. And I hate you for it. Every time I see a console now.
No, I love
I'm
it.
like, those are uneven dials.
I like the uneven dials on the Galileo.
Yeah, it just shows, it's very quaint, and it shows that it's. I like the fact that it's. You can tell by looking at it, it's not mass manufactured.
Yes.
Everything's done by hand, and it shows. I like that.
Yeah, somebody hooked it up. They did what they needed to do, and it didn't have to be the most.
Right, they didn't bother measuring or anything like that when they drilled the
Mm-hmm.
holes. They just drilled them, and there they are.
Yeah, functionality over perfection.
Kind of like how Gene Roddenberry drilled anything he could.
So the Star Trek. So here's
Too
more
much?
about.
I apologize.
So Lieutenant Masters is also mentioned in the Star Trek 365 book. And I think it's something we said earlier, but I'm going to read it anyway. Spock says, Captain, the universe is safe for you and me. And Kirk says, but what of Lazarus? What of Lazarus?
Oh, it's over?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm reading from the book. An early draft of the script for the alternative factor features a plotline in which Lazarus becomes romantically involved with the female engineer of the Enterprise. He later manipulates her into stealing the dilithium crystals he needs.
So that's the only reason why Jimmy Doohan was not in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although the character Lieutenant Charlene Masters remains in the filmed version of the episode, she never encounters Lazarus, aside from when he knocks her out, so that he can steal the crystals. There are several probable reasons for the change. For one thing, the subplot as originally conceived is very similar to a subplot in Space Seed, which was scheduled to go into production a few weeks later. The romance between Marla McIvers and Khan is much more compelling and plausible than the one between Masters and Lazarus. So if a decision had to be made between two similar subplots, the producers seem to have made the right one.
Yeah.
A second possibility returns once again to the casting. The actress chosen to play Masters was Janet McLaughlin, who was intelligent and attractive, and who also possessed the right amount of gravitas to play the female officer in charge of a division of engineering. Coincidentally, McLaughlin was also African American. The romantic entanglement between her and Lazarus, who was not African American, could conceivably have caused some television stations in the South to reject airing of the episode. Whatever the reason, the excision of the romance left some large holes in the script and airtime to fill, which may explain why there are an inordinate number of scenes featuring Lazarus falling off cliffs, getting injured, and wrestling with his counterpart in the corridor between two universes. I hope that wasn't the reason that stations were being idiots.
Oh, it probably was, though. Like, for the time, like, there were even with Plato's Stepchildren, there were there were affiliates that wouldn't play it because they didn't believe that in terms of interracial coupling.
I had a job that had me living in the South for a few years, and they have not changed a bit.
I know I'm behind on the chat, but I want to get through this episode so badly.
Yeah, let's plow.
Lazarus A knocks out the transporter chief so he can get to the planet. Okay, so right, there's the fire. Lieutenant Masters.
Well, and also let's
Mr. Engineer guy.
Yeah, Lieutenant Skippy. He was hotboxing the engineering.
Okay.
What?
So Scotty is in this episode.
Yeah, no, Scotty doesn't smoke the ganj.
No, not that Scotty.
Oh, me. Yeah,
yes,
no, I was in engineering having a gay old time.
Yes.
So, by gay, I mean happy, like in the Flintstones way. I wasn't doing butt stuff.
I understand that.
Thanks.
Lazarus.
This is a terrible portrayal by the transporter chief.
Yeah.
No fault to the actor, but it's just like, no, that's not security there. Just
You're not supposed to be here.
Right. And then he practically comes up and hugs the guy. It's like, what?
Yeah. That's like a Walmart greeter saying, "Sir, you have to pay for that." And then I just walk out.
With a question mark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lazarus knocks him out, and so he gets to the planet. And Kirk
and Lazarus immediately figures out how to use the transporter.
Yes, that's right. That's a good point. There's no way he should know that. There's lots of things he knows, like how to start that fire. How did he know how to do that also?
Right. And here's what I was talking about, an inside shot of that ship where there's no controls.
It's true. There's just a door.
And the same chair, like the one that was in the Galileo. It's got the knob on the side where it can tilt.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of Berlinghoff Rasmussen's time pod, is that it is just for one individual to be able to do stuff.
Yes.
Where's the door?
He's sitting in the doorway. It closes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm saying, does it close like side to side, up and down? I mean, where is the door? Well, we never see that.
We don't.
No, we don't. That is terrifying.
But no door, no controls.
No phone.
Where did they
light.
get this thing?
Well, they obviously built it just for this episode, but obviously they said, well, don't spend a lot of money. We just want to see detail where the camera can see up close. But Like inside the ship behind over his shoulder, you can see there's nothing, just a chair.
Well, you notice nobody takes credit for designing this thing.
Exactly, right.
It's pretty flimsy.
I thought it would have been AMT, but I couldn't find anything on who built it.
Well, Spacely Sprockets.
Very likely. Good thing.
Or Cogswell's Cogs. I don't know.
Oh, they're in competition.
Yes.
So here they're telling us that the dilithium crystals are a standard shape and size because they fit right into his ship with no problem.
Right. Yes. So Kirk enters his ship and vanishes into the negative space. But then it's okay because then he shows up over here. He's in the negative zone for a while.
Can I share something from here?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. It's just still, so it'll only take a second here. This is from the end credits of Squire of Gothos.
Mm.
And this is the exact same scene, but without the effects, by the way.
Oh, that's cool. I was wondering where that was from.
Okay, so it's just a purple room.
Purple and pink with some fog. And Kirk extending his arms out. And then they start. Cool. They blur it at the double exposure and spin the camera, pretty much. So, yeah, that's what it looked like without the effects.
Oh, you're great, pop culture creator. That's
with the
pretty
Trifid
cool.
Nebula.
Thank you, guys.
Superimposed.
Mm-hmm. So Kirk ends up on the planet again. I guess he escapes the negative zone somehow. I don't know. So then we have Lazarus B.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Go back to one more. Go back one more.
This?
Vasquez rocks at nighttime. Now the next frame, inside of a studio, daytime.
Yeah.
Aha.
And he's supposed to be looking directly at it. You can even see the wall behind it.
Yes, I do see a wall.
And the rocks are obviously fake. But oh well.
Excuse me.
And I wonder why he took the dome off. I wonder if they accidentally damaged it while moving that to the set, the studio.
That's a good question.
That is a great question.
Yeah, I'm guessing they may have damaged it while they moved it from the location.
Oh no, but look, to the left of the ship, that's where the dome is.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking they might have damaged it, knocked it off while they were. Because what happened is they ran out of time when they were shooting because they were so over schedule. They had to do this scene right here at the last minute, and they were already not on location anymore, and that's why they had to try to make this look like Vasquez Rock the best they could.
Okay, so they ran out of time.
Yes, they ran out of time.
Character-wise, I kind of like to think that Lazarus from the antimatter dimension is trying to make it so that the Lazaruses can't pass between the dimensions. So if he removed the dome, maybe it was in an effort to make it so that Crazy Lazarus wouldn't do the things that he's doing.
But Crazy Lazarus is the one that's trying to keep sane Lazarus from destroying.
Well, yeah, but when you think about it, at any point, all any one of these men have to do is destroy their ship with them on the outside of it, and it'll close the doorway.
Yes. Yes. Maybe?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't have to be in the corridor to close it. They could both stay outside the corridor and damage and destroy both ships. Mm-hmm. And they're both alive. They're both safe, and they stop the whole problem. Why trap themselves on the inside of it?
You're right. There's no reason.
Well, no, I would say that Crazy Lazarus is going to be so hell-bent for leather to try and kill his alternate counterpart, as we learn here through the exposition dump at the end of the episode,
right?
Where discovering that there was an alternate Lazarus drove our universe Lazarus to try and kill alternate Lazarus because he just couldn't bear the knowledge that there was another one of himself. And so even if you destroyed, even if sane Lazarus destroys his Jetsons car, then there's still a possibility of transporting between universes in our universe's Lazarus car.
That's why both ships need to be destroyed. That's why pop culture both of them.
Wouldn't you think there's a sensible Lazarus? This one here would say, let's just destroy the ships when we're both not in them.
Yes. And he could convince the other one of that's the right thing to do. Neither of them ever try to talk it out, which is the premise of Star Trek.
Right. And in that previous shot, the previous still that Jill showed, you can clearly see that it's the same chair from the Galileo. You can see the silver knob on the side.
You're a silver knob.
And no controls in the ship, like I said.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Not even a cup holder.
Not even a cup holder.
Right.
How do you roll down the window to get drive-through in the intergalactic?
Where do I put my big gulp?
So finally, at the end of the episode, we confirm that all of this is a parallel universe and whatever. Lazarus says,
Whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
That's hard to explain, Captain. I call it an alternative warp. It's sort of a negative magnetic corridor where the two parallel universes meet. It's sort of a safety valve. It keeps eternity from blowing up. And so he's describing the doorway, the passageway from one universe to the other that keeps antimatter and matter separated. Everyone wonders where the antimatter went after the Big Bang. So, well, it went into the parallel universe right on top of the original one with Lazarus as it's under its command. I don't know. I'm not making sense, but don't worry. The episode doesn't.
Neither does the episode. You're fine.
It just feels like I'm saying nothing.
No, because you are.
And it is this pathway, this corridor, where the two worlds meet, where Lazarus is going to trap his other Lazarus for all eternity together, just fighting until they die or something.
And Kirk conveniently just goes home.
Yeah, right. And you're right, because the whole planet is sort of a parallel universe. I don't know.
And this is the last time. And thank you for your patience. But this is what happens to Lazarus and to Lazarus.
Fantastic.
I'm done.
You're the best. I like that. So if the other right, this is the part where I agree with what you said earlier. If the other man from the negative is from the negative antimatter universe, why doesn't just his existence in our universe blow everything up?
Well, even Kirk going to the antimatter planet would be like him stepping foot on that planet would destroy the planet.
Right. At least. He is in so Lazarus is in the corridor forever, fighting his antimatter counterpart forever.
Thank God.
The Enterprise destroys the time travel ship, and
back at Vasquez rocks. And this is right. This is where the stuntmen just stand there. When Kirk says, "Stand back."
Yeah, they're just there.
Why does he have to be in there? They could just destroy the ship and then just lock him up.
Right. But they destroy the Lazarus has to make a sacrifice and then they destroy the ship.
And
but I agree with you.
Production note, this is the only time in the TOS where they show the Enterprise firing phasers from the rear of the ship from that angle.
Yes. So I guess we see one last shot of the nebula before.
Right.
Oh, and also big ups to Mr. Leslie.
Yeah, he was in 50 of the 79 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Leslie is there.
Oh, and by the way, when it was red alert and earlier in Kirk and Spock beamed down to the planet, Kirk didn't leave anybody in charge, which he's usually supposed to do.
Good point.
I don't know if Gerd Oswald did any more episodes after this.
But Donnie Gold does write one more episode.
Oh,
a private little war.
And notice it's very similar to this. So okay.
Mm.
One note, Roger.
What of Lazarus?
Yeah. We'll just forget about him. What about that dilithium crystals? Let's just forget about those.
No, don't worry. They're fine.
Oh, no, he does say, get these crystals back up to the Enterprise.
Yeah, but they were drained from the other universe. So I guess the recharging station worked.
Fine.
Robert Brown as Lazarus. Yeah.
Yay, Bobby.
And Janet McLaughlin as Charlene Masters.
Charlie Masters.
Charlene.
As Michael Burnham.
Richard Gere as Barstow.
And Leslie is misspelled. It's supposed to be Leslie.
I-E, yeah, totally.
But the character, the name came from William Shatner's daughter.
Leslie?
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, that was his idea. He has a daughter, Leslie.
Okay. That's the only time we see Scotty here.
Well, thank God that's over.
And Scotty was
Yay!
sorely
Okay.
missed. I miss Scotty.
Absolutely smashing.
So we'll never speak of this ever again, right?
Never again. Obviously, I give this episode an F for an episode that deals with real scientific theories concerning parallel dimensions and how one universe has matter and the other one has antimatter. You know, you'd think I'd like it, but it really stinks because the ideas are fantastic, the execution, not so much. It doesn't really explore these topics with any clarity or purpose other than to barrage us with goofy nebula images to show the two beings fighting for a great amount of this episode. Further, the characters we love and their interactions are done so poorly here compared to that kid who wrote that animated series episode. Which episode was that? I don't remember. I was
Chocolate Factory.
no, it was a good episode of the animated series written by the 19-year-old.
Yeah, that was just the last one that we reviewed.
Yeah.
Oh, the Pirates of Orion.
Yes. Yes, the Pirates of Orion got the characterization of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy way better than this episode. This one has the crew acting rude and disbelieving of one another despite all of the strange occurrences in which they have trusted each other before, and it is baffling as baffling as it is disappointing. The only saving grace is that this is a alternate dimension episode, so maybe, I don't know, while the Enterprise was in orbit of this planet and that it was part of the parallel world for the duration of the episode, since none of it is very clear anyway what is connected to what. And luckily none of the stories that follow call back to this one in any way, except for unless you count Mirror Mirror, which does a much better job of this wonderful concept. And so that's my first F. And I hope I don't give another one. I don't know if I will.
Hello, Chronos. Well, we've still got a lot of episodes to go.
I know.
But to everyone who's watched this episode, here's what I have to say to you.
Those poor people.
So, what do you think of this episode, Scotty? After I completely decimated your birthday episode.
I'm of two minds of the episode because it is bad. But because it's an episode that I haven't seen very often, it's not an episode that I've worn out. I kind of enjoyed it. I was being facetious when I gave it an A+, but I'd probably give this like a C. It's not an F for me because I think that the characterization of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy is good. I think that Robert Brown did the best he could with a bad situation. But no, this is bottom tier Star Trek. This is and the worst part is that it's a fumble on an interesting concept. So I don't know. I think the initial creation of the episode is probably better than what we ended up seeing. And so, yeah, I give it effort points, but not many.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Pop?
Well, I'd have to say it's, I'm impartial, but the fact that it has Vasquez Rocks highlighted, and once again, that lifts it for me. So I'm going to give it a C. This episode seemed to me like something that would be more akin to the third season rather than the first. Because that third season, we'll see where there's a lot of budget cuts and things seem more rushed. And
you have a much more well-rounded perspective on Star Trek.
Well, and I'm thinking it wasn't, like I said, don't blame the actor Brown. He did an okay job for what he was handed. But I'll give it a C. So I did vote C in the poll.
That's very generous.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye, JD.
You're welcome. Oh, goodbye to JD Lewis. I'm just getting to the chat now. I have a lot of chat because I decided to fly through the episode.
Because it was so good.
Yeah, because it was so great. No, I was so excited and happy at the beginning of this episode. What happened?
I don't know. Now the problem that I have with the episode is every time I look at Lazarus, I'm going to see John Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think, Jill, you're experiencing the same feelings when you walk out of a therapy session.
Oh, is that what this is? I
think
don't
so.
really
Yeah, it's like
We're gonna get something done. We did it.
right.
It's over. Hooray!
Right. Don't we feel better now? We all shared that horrible experience together.
Yes.
So, rather than silent suffering.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, we had to get through it.
We did because we have to review all 79 episodes, and this is an episode of Star Trek.
And reviewing the episode is much more fun than watching the episode.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this episode should die!
Nice. I'm just looking to see where I am here in the chat.
You are on Earth currently.
Currently,
it is
Kronos.
an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere.
I gave this episode a Z- by Kronos.
At least you didn't make it an oxygen-hydrogen atmosphere.
I don't even know.
Kronos says, I gave this episode a Z-. No, you're right. Oxygen-nitrogen is the correct way.
Yay.
Yes, oxygen-nitrogen, right.
Mm-hmm. And I read some of these, so I'm still looking for where I am.
I do the same thing. I like the same ones more than once.
Mm-hmm. Stop bullshitting, Bones.
Don't give me that shit.
That's basically what Kirk should have said, because that's basically what I heard.
Right.
And
you should have told him, Jim, you need some brandy. Calm down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, and also, hi to Tony Stark. No one's ignoring you. We're still trying to plow through. Thank you, Apex, for being here.
Hello, Tony.
Kronos gives the episode a Z-. Hello to Apex and Tony Stark. Yes, I am not ignoring. I'm going through 100 chats just as much as I can.
Yeah,
I do have 40 minutes.
Jill, in your panel or in your poll, I noticed that you don't have a slot for F-. The lowest you go is F. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, because I saw somebody voted F-. So they went even lower than the poll.
That's pretty good. Well, I figured an F is an F is an F. I saw an F on my paper. I'm already devastated.
Is an F good enough?
I'm distraught, and I'm asking the professor for extra credit. Yeah, if I get an F, no way. My whole week is ruined. My day is ruined. I figure out what I can do to raise my grade. Is there a project I can do?
Imagine telling a student, you're not an F, you're an F-.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is the point?
Double dumbass.
Oh,
you, sir, are worse than Discovery.
Just have mercy. Give me the 55 if you're going to give me an F. But you're going to give me anything lower, just that's it. I just might as well drop this class.
Yeah.
So Grandma says, you can regrow them unless they are Klingon crystals.
Incorrect.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You answered that question too. Okay, so where are we? Oh, Yamas Queen Jess says, the Jetsons car looks a little bit like Trunks' time machine from Dragon Ball Z.
I don't listen to hip-hop, so I don't know what you're talking to.
But if you know Raquel SSG's channel, she talks a lot about anime. Oh. If you want to talk about Dragon Ball Z. Franco Walker says, Kronos, Bones is just a country doctor. You end up worse than when you went in. Only in this.
He's a good doctor. Yeah,
he is a good doctor. Only in this episode.
Right. This isn't the Dukes of Hazzard.
Hey.
Uh-oh. Hey, Snoopy.
It's yes. Herc130 says, us muscle men are discriminated against all the time. People think we're just all beef with no brains. It hurts our feelings. You know what? For one, I demand to be treated like a piece of meat. I think it would be the best. I would desire it. And quite honestly,
I demand it. I demand it.
Well, I hope you get your wish.
To be treated like a piece of meat someday? Yes. Me too.
Yes. JD Lewis says, I always wondered why sickbay wasn't called a dispensary myself. And Sub-Commander Tull is here. Hey, Sub-Commander Tull, I wonder if you're still around.
Ahoy, Tull.
He says, this scene between Kirk and Spock in the briefing room is a high point in an otherwise dull episode.
Agreed.
It is well acted.
I could just see the actors like, okay, we know this is terrible. Can we just get through this?
And they do a commendable job given the script they were given.
Well, and it's so weird based on the stakes of the episode and the complete destruction of the galaxy. It is a fairly, like, it just, I don't know, the whole thing falls flat.
It does. It's an interesting hypothetical conversation between two smart, capable officers, and they do discuss some interesting scientific concepts that would have been a great episode had the surrounding scenes been a little better. And Cronus goes, bzzz. I don't know why.
But I agree.
Maybe that's like Gong, like in the Gong Show. Maybe that's like a vote.
I don't know. Oh yeah, maybe like a buzz. Like okay,
like on Family Feud when the red X comes on the screen.
Right. I don't know. Chrono says, "Yeah, I hate it when peeps make points." And Masters is hot and not dead. So, sorry.
What? That she's hot and not dead? You like that?
I'm glad she's alive. Makes me happy.
As am I. And we'll never hear of her again.
No. Interesting lighting and camera choices in the scene, too. Gerd Oswald also directed Conscience of the King, which is a good episode.
Which I missed, unfortunately. At least I wasn't on the panel, but I was listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only one you've missed so far. That's pretty good.
I missed two, didn't I? Yeah, the menagerie.
You missed the menagerie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you should have been there for that.
I know, that's what I said.
Oh man, that was a big one. I should have skipped that week. Why did I do that without you?
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I was there. Remember, I was listening, so it was fine. Both times I was there listening.
You know what? I thought you were going to be there because you said you were driving. And you could.
Oh, and I did try to tune in, right? But my signal kept dropping. Yeah, the signal was horrible.
Yeah. Next time you got to go on a road trip, we'll if it's a good episode, we'll skip a week.
Or I'll do it from my hotel. I won't do it while I'm driving, especially to a storm like last time.
Right. So, but I know if you have to drive, that we'll do it another time. Because that one, that's a good one. So JD Lewis says during this scene, an unused music cue from Balance of Terror is used. Ooh,
very cool.
That's the problem with me plowing through the episode. I don't know what scene he's talking about. Sub-Commander Tall says, JD Lewis, that's fascinating about the music cue. I think so too. There was reused music in this episode to save money. And Sub-Commander Tall says, I like crooked buttons. It would be easier to have tactile memory for what button did what.
Well, that's true. It would help memorize it better.
And Krona says, chat lives matter. And
we do care about the chat, guys. We do care. Without you, we wouldn't be here.
This would not be worth it without the chat.
Krona well, from what I understand, we are nothing without the chat.
That is the consensus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Scotty was into scotch. Scotty drinks anything.
He does.
It's green. Drinks it.
Yes. Mountain Dew.
And Yamas Queen Jess says, it looks like Trunk's time machine. So someone tell me, who's Trunk?
Dragon Ball Z, wasn't that a reference to?
Oh, right. Okay, thank you.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never seen Dragon Ball Z.
Neither have I.
I've seen a little bit of it. My brother really loved that show. But he taped over my Ren and Stimpy for Dragon Ball Z. So Chrono says, can you drive 88? And Cronus also says, I like to see wacky crystals.
Herc says, I know the donut on the roof of Randy's Donuts in L.A. Delicious.
Yep. Euler Greg says, probably neural interfaces for ship control systems. Oh, for the ship that doesn't have any controls in it, then that's exactly what pop culture said. A neural, like you use your brain, it's mind controlled. And Cronus is, I guess he's shocked that those rocks.
And very expensive, I might add. To buy a prop rock like that made from styrofoam or foam is surprisingly very expensive.
Yeah. And Euler Greg says, I always remove the dome from my ship when I am traveling to alternate dimensions. So there's your answer.
There you go.
I want the radiation of space to blow through my hair.
The solar winds through my wispy beard.
Yeah, I think you damaged the prop.
This dimension sucks, by the way. Euler Greg travels through the dimensions.
True.
So he knows his stuff. Sub Commander Tall says, I kind of like the Minus universe being on a soundstage versus on location. It gives it a surreal feel.
Oh, yes. That's true.
It is definitely unique.
And if it weren't used for like 4 minutes of the episode, I think I'd like it more, but it just feels like filler.
It is. Apex says, hey Joe. Hey Apex.
Hey Apex.
Speaking crazy Vulcan, Lazarus. Oh. Krona says, nothing really matters.
Anybody can see.
Nothing really matters.
To me.
Where's the alternate Kirk? You know, I don't know where I heard this, but there was supposed to be Kirk seeing his alternate self in this episode. But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because I had, from my memories as a kid, is I thought Kirk did fight himself. But I guess, it was like, after watching it, it's like, no, it was just Lazarus. Kirk just used it as a hallway, I guess.
Guess.
It's just such a wasted opportunity, this entire episode. Nothing really anti-matters to me. Says Cronus.
Yes. Franco said, Jill is too caught up in the episode. It must be her favorite.
It is.
It was my favorite. Yes, that's why this is my favorite episode. No,
Secret's out.
Secret's out. Best
this
episode ever.
It is 10 out of 1,000 for Jill. Yes.
That's not very good. Franco Walker says Jill's too caught up. Yes, it was. No, it's not my favorite episode, by the way. Quite possibly the worst. And Tony Stark says, here's what I say, just to see if it's legitimately being ignored. Oh, hello. Hello, Tony. I will chug a fifth of Romulan ale and arm wrestle every panelist.
You will lose.
There you go.
I don't know. He might beat me.
No.
I'm not very good at arm
No,
wrestling.
but you got grip. You can do
Yeah, I could hold on, but
you could take him.
No, I don't think so.
I have 400 quatloos on you.
I hope that's not a lot.
200 quatloos?
100
quatloos?
Pod Racing Palpatine says, sorry I'm late. I was eating dinner. Hey, Pod Racing Palpatine. Great to see you. Snipes and Connery. What can go wrong?
Oh, what is that? Oh, Rising Mercury?
Sun.
No, Rising Sun, yes. You know, if I wanted Mercury, I would chew on a thermometer.
Pod Racing Palpatine says, if there were a letter higher than A, I'd give it that. Just because I'm a Sith Lord.
Well, thank you, Papa Palpatine.
And Matt G tipped $1. Oh, I missed
Hey.
a tip. In the multiverse, Pro Derivative Jill loves this episode, as she normally reviews only New Trek. She does love this TOS episode better than the Twilight Zone. Wow. I can't believe I was capable of reading that chat.
Pro
Thank you,
derivative
Matt.
Jill. Okay.
That's going to be my new nickname for you.
Pro derivative Jill. That was great. Good job, Matt G.
Mirror, Mirror was a great episode. Yes.
Yes, it was. I can't wait to talk about that one. JD Lewis says F-. One of the worst episodes of the entire series. Headed out now. Oh yeah, you guys told me that he was leaving, so we did say goodbye.
Cheers, JD.
Hello to Lemon Pie. Lemon Pie is there.
Lemon and Tony.
Mm-hmm. Going to share the live chat. And so, what did you guys rate that? Whoa! Holy!
Yeah, that's quite a mix.
That's incredible! I can't believe this result.
And that's a lot of votes.
I do appreciate that my birthday show in the rating is just absolutely dripping with sarcasm. There is no way. I was the one. I started this by giving it an A+, and I disagree with myself.
But there were other people who gave it an A+ too. It wasn't just you.
I know.
And that's an incredible.
Crazy.
Well, in a way, you can look at it as a very beautiful thing that people love Star Trek so much that they even give the worst episode a name.
Well, my question is, when they give that rating, are they rating the episode or our review of the episode?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, that is a good question. I am asking about the actual episode.
I hope we did improve on the episode.
Yeah. I hope so too. Chronos says it's the Vulcan facial hair that makes it. Okay. Is it logical for a Vulcan to have facial hair?
Ask Cybok.
It'd have to be very neat. And Miss Queen Jess says I give it a C because I have not seen it.
Hey.
That's fair. Cronus says I would rather see this episode than see any more Discovery, which I agree.
So true.
I know. You guys, and you're full of hatred.
Well, only hatred for things that deserve it. I gave it a C because I haven't seen it. Also, Franco Walker.
I have seen it.
Oh, wait. Oh, because I have seen it. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I missed that. Thank you, Pop Culture. I missed the have. Calm down, Matt. I did a long time ago, says Cronus.
Well, Matt can go all monkey nuts as much as he wants because he tipped $1.
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
He says to hit that like.
Do.
Mod Reflex. And he also posts my Twitter.
Yay.
So you can follow me there. I retweet stuff and sometimes post things. Curtis says, is someone Bob Ross? And so this must be when we finished our review because Apex says, congratulations, you made it through. We did. We made it through the alternate dimension and came back to the matter universe. Dark Helmet says, why is this fake Tony here? Well, no, that's just his persona.
We couldn't get the real one.
Yeah, he's the best.
He's not a fake Tony. He's one of Tony's helpers.
Oh, like an elf.
Yeah.
Captain James T. Skywalker says, hail, Lady Jill. Hail, Captain James T. Skywalker.
James Toblerone Skywalker.
Matt G gives this episode an F+.
Minus. So or plus. Yeah, you're right, plus.
Yeah, right? An F- makes more sense, but he gives it like a 69.
The plus is for Robert Brown showing up to work.
Oh, wait, no, 60. Oh, 60s are D, so 59. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bunyan Snipe is here. Hey, he is a real Tony.
Oh, hello, Bunyan Snipe. Yeah, he is a real Tony. Mm-hmm. And James Caserta says F- is good again. We are a band of sisters and brothers now for watching this episode. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, I walk through the valley of the shadow of the alternative factor.
Mm-hmm. Corona says F+. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, we all shared the same tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was all thanks to Drew Barrymore's dad.
You're going to drag 10 Things I Hate? No, wait. E.T.? Yeah, let's go with E.T. You're going to drag E.T.'s good name?
Well, no, Drew Barrymore showed up for rehearsal.
That's true.
Krona says F+ sounds like a passing to fail.
It's a failing pass.
Yeah, it's like so close. Like you if you're a teacher and you give somebody a 59, man, that's harsh. It's like just one more point, and you get a D. Tony Stark says, "Yeah, see if they get this. I'm gonna chug a fifth of Romulan ale, and oh yeah, okay, maybe he reposted that same chat from earlier. Please,
you don't think
no
we're being
Dr.
funny, Tony? I'll come over to your house and show you funny. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm being ornery and I'm like doing whatever I can to be selfish today. I apologize because we are here for a celebration of me. Come on.
Yes, happy birthday, Scotty.
I know, and I'm going to keep requesting it.
Please continue.
Thank you. Stop it. Pod Racing Palpatine says being treated like a piece of meat. I'd be the best of times and be the worst of times. Message Spock. Well, happy birthday. Truly the best of times.
Mm-hmm.
Tony says, deflects chair like a 10-year employee at a Waffle House? Yes.
Please read.
Being treated like meat is the worst.
That is corny. Thank you, lemon pie. You know, worst
hot dog. We have a wiener.
Mm-hmm. Krona says, how many nerds can you pack into a live stream?
7.
10.
19, apparently.
Lemon pie says 19. Oh, right, the chat. So, actually, okay, so 29. 28. If I had a full panel, then plus the chat. Mm-hmm. Yes, so it was Dragon Ball Z. Krona says,
brain and brain. What is brain?
Mm-hmm. Lemon Pie says, Kronos, all I know is Mountain Dew glows more than it used to. Oh, is it radioactive now?
You know what? And this is just a complete aside, but one of my favorite things is going into a bar and ordering a gin and tonic when they have black light, because gin and tonics, they glow under black light. It's weird.
Yeah, are you going to do a bar for your birthday?
I don't know. A bar? No, I'm gonna paint the entire town red. And I'm going to run around saying that I have to find my alternate universe beast. And then I'll get kicked out of every bar being like, I think this guy's crazy, or he thinks he's Lazarus.
Yeah, if they get the reference, then you're good.
Yeah, and they never do.
Hark130 says, that was supposed to say, the spaceship is now the donut on the roof of Randy Donuts.
Oh, is it?
Okay. But spell check destroyed my sentence. Okay, now that statement makes more sense. And Tony Stark says, when's the next shore leave, Jill? I never know when I'm going to have a shore leave, Tony. Those are completely spontaneous streams, as are the gaming streams. I make sure that I have no idea when those are going to happen so they don't become part of a schedule, because I already have a very busy one.
Well, when it comes to your shore leaves, I'm always in the mood for a good non-reconstituted meal.
Oh, but even though there's no shore leave, there's going to be a Scotty celebration on the Phantasmagorium tonight, Tony. So
yes.
You're going to want to see that. That's at 9 p.m. Central?
Yes. Yes, it is. Or if you don't really give two hoots about me, you can go and check out Pop Culture Curator and Gorilla's Random Thoughts, and they're going to be talking about Gilligan's Island.
Yes, that's right. Gilligan's Island also tonight. Don't make me do it. It's all antimatter song, says Tony Stark. There's an antimatter song, asks Cronus. That's my question too. Yamas Queen Jess says this episode could have been solved with the push of a certain button.
Oh, we have something for that though. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is.
So what'll happen? That's just it. We don't know. Maybe something bad. Maybe something good.
That one survived from an Orville episode in which one of the characters pushes a button.
A big red button?
Yeah.
Delightful.
Krona says, I was in the D+ to F. There was no Z-. Dark Helmet says, Tony always ignores me.
Krona says, I like being ignored. I do too. Blending into the background is one of my favorite things.
Sean Carter said, I gave an A+ just for the fact that Lazarus yeeted himself off the rocks three times.
3 times.
Wait, I thought it was just 2.
We were all
no, it was 3 times. It was 3.
What was the 3rd time? Because of course I know the one where the rock almost hit Kirk, and then
it was the one where he went ah. By the way, that was not him yelling. That was a stock scream when he fell. I guess he couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. Bunyan Stipe says, "Righteous hatred."
Yeah.
I hope I didn't sound like I hated this too much, but
no. The righteous hatred was directed towards Discovery.
Oh, that's where the hatred belongs. Yes.
Yes, apparently.
I cannot stomach Discovery.
Well, you don't have to eat it.
Stuart Mitchell.
Hey,
hello, Stuart. Who names a girl Michael? Don't know.
You know what? I'm kind of curious because if George Foreman has a daughter, he probably named her George.
Yamas Queen Jess says, my mom gives it an F. Hi. Hello to Yamas Queen Jess's mother.
Hey, Jess's mom.
And Kronos is right. Moms are smart.
And from what I understand, Jess's mom has got it going on. So.
Mm-hmm. And Dark Helmet says that he's another real Tony.
Hello to all of the real Tonys.
Will the real Tony please stand up?
Please stand up.
Speaking of real Tonys, Bunyan Stipe says,
only the gin and tonics they serve me. Yes, they inject them with the antimatter.
Spock doesn't have a brain in Klutzman check. Yeah, no, he doesn't. He just has a beard.
You guys know who that actor is, right?
Who?
The guy who plays the new Spock.
There's too many new Spocks.
Ethan Peck?
Yeah, Gregory Peck's grandson.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a sad thing for Gregory Peck.
Well, I don't take away from the performance of the actor. Again, I blame the writers. So
the actor could say, no, I'm not taking that role. So no, I blame the actors as much as the writers, the directors, and the producers.
Money is a powerful drug, Pop.
Well, if you're willing to do anything for money, then that makes you a completely different profession, right?
Tina Louise has entered the chat.
Well, I blame the writing before I blame the actors. I blame the directing before.
Well, yeah, the writer comes up with a script, but then the actor reads it and says, I'll do the job. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But look at like Bob Saget as Danny Tanner. It's completely worlds away from what he was. And while he procured many relationships, it's not necessarily that he was proud of doing Full House. I don't besmirch any actor for taking a job. Nor would I say to the family of Pecks, I wouldn't say that Gregory Peck should hold any shame towards his grandson.
Well, he's dead.
For
so
taking a
that's
job.
Not going to happen, right?
Well, no, I know. So, all right. George C. Scott is as well.
And plus, Full House.
And George C. Scott is buried in an unmarked grave. He did not want a headstone.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, Full House was a fun part of my childhood, even though it doesn't hold up when you watch it today. It's way, way too corny.
Is that another one of the houses that were shot in San Francisco, the exterior, or no? Yeah, the Full House
I don't
house.
know. Yeah,
It's in San
yeah. It's like the
Francisco,
San Francisco houses that are all stuck together.
It is. It's on the a lot of tourists go and look at the house. It was
Mm-hmm.
just up for sale not too long ago.
Hmm.
That and the Miss Doubtfire house, another one people seem to gravitate towards.
I wouldn't care about looking at the house. I'd want to be like having a picnic like they do in the opening credits near the houses.
Yeah, but that picnic, that's the Warner Brother lot that they just tore down. That's what I was talking about last night on my stream. That's Blondie Street with the fountain and everything. Yeah, they got rid of all that.
Tony Stark can't stream or tune in today, but he says happy birthday. Cronus also loves Ren and Stimpy, as does Franco Walker. Yes, great show. It's like Homer fading into the bushes. I don't know what we're supposed to sing, but somebody's singing. Herc130 says the poll looks like a good and evil were fighting each other.
Yes, but what of Lazarus?
Mm-hmm.
What of Lazarus?
Yeah, so the poll says 36%, which is pretty incredible, gave it an A. 13% gave it a B. 36% gave it a C, which is very generous. And 15% gave it a D to an F. I guess I was extra mean to it. I don't know. Chrono says Scotty is one step closer to Ack.
Ack.
Yeah, right? Snort of Poopus. 36% gave this pile of Magatu poop an A.
I did that. That was my fault.
No, well, you're allowed.
Thank you. Bunyan Snipe says, yeah, but Discovery on paper was possibly very different. And I was super jazzed for the original concept of Discovery. Unfortunately,
it was very different.
It turned into pooping a bed.
It was not supposed to steal the concept and ideas from video game designer Nasruddin, and it was supposed to be an anthology series where each season was going to be a different crew.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that.
No. What is that?
Is somebody listening to the radio? Stark is apparently busy today. And there you go. We caught up with the chat.
Getting busy. And Kronos, it's not Jesse's mom. It's Stacy's mom.
What is a Magatu?
A Magatu. It's
it
like a unicorn
horn.
gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand. Sorry, I'm eating Twinkies.
Oh, great. And then
it's my birthday food.
It is your birthday.
No, but I like Twinkies.
Yeah, so we reviewed the episode. We reviewed the alternative factor. We're done with it. We did it.
It's over?
Yeah. So we had 39 votes, and I'm going to end the poll.
Okay.
Both A and C were tied at 36%. So I'm going to end it here before one or the other overtakes the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I like how they both, we got the positive universe and the negative universe fighting, like someone said. That's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, I feel bad. Last night during my stream, I forgot to check on the poll there towards the end. So I apologize for anybody if you were there.
I accept your apology.
There was a poll?
Yeah, I was asking if I should do a horror sci-fi stream, yes or no. And we were looking at it early within the stream, and then I forgot to go back and reference it at the end. I feel bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forget about streams all the time. I mean, polls, rather. That's why in my notes here, I always put in big capital letters. Announce poll winner.
Is it possible to have more than one poll in the stream? I guess it is, right?
Yes. You just have to end it. Like I could start a new poll right now if I wanted, but
so just end the first one first? Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, then I suppose there's only one thing left to do.
It's over. Game over, man. Game over.
We have to talk about the next time when we're actually excited about talking about.
Thank you, Franco.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you,
Frank.
Franco. He says, great stream, Jill and panel. Take care, chat.
Cheers.
Thank you, Jill. And thank you to Scotty R37 and Pop Culture Curator.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a blast. Like, I really enjoyed watching this episode because it's been so long since I watched it. And so even if it is bad, it's old Star Trek. Yeah. So I liked it.
It's still Star Trek. I can say that. Yes, I can. It's difficult, but I can say it.
All right.
I accept it. So, Scotty R37.
I can live with it. I can live with it.
So, Scotty, can you tell us about your channel?
On the Phantasmagorium show, where I hang out with, Jill and Kat, and we talk about stuff that I enjoy, and we look back at if you're having difficulties with the modern output of Hollywood, so do I. And most of the time, we look back at things that we like that are better than what is coming out that is new. And on Wednesdays, Kat and I are going through the Batman Pantheon. And so tomorrow we're going to be talking about Batman Forever. And every Thursday until the torture chamber appears, Jill and I talk about Quantum Leap. But
the agony booth.
The agony booth, the torture chamber, all the things that Jill hates and I'm mildly okay with at much of her consternation. We're going to be talking about season 3 of Star Trek Patrick Stewart. So that's coming up in February.
And I agreed to this.
I know you were wasted. It was so easy to manipulate you at that moment. And so we're going to be talking about that until we get sick of it.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I do reserve the right to say I am done.
Yes.
At any moment.
Jill is my own personal Rich Evans. I will torture her.
Yes. Oh, man, that is such a high honor. I really like Rich. He's my favorite from Red Letter Media.
I'm a Mike man myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Rich all the way. Cam's Crash Courses.
Cam!
He says, hi, Jill, Scotty, Pop, and chat. Happy birthday, Scotty. Just stop by to say hi and drop a like.
Cheers, and thank you.
It's good here, Mike, because as long as you're not Jay.
Oh, come on. Jay's good.
He's okay.
Maybe Pop Culture can be Jay. Do you want to be Jay, Pop Culture?
Sure. No problem.
Okay, great. Oh, right, because you do like horror and stuff, so it makes some sense there.
It does make sense.
But you actually like Star Trek. He doesn't.
It's true.
That's why I'm kind of chauvinistic towards him. I'm mean. That's a lot of Batman.
It is a lot of Batman.
Tony Stark says, careful, Scott, or Jill will use those strong hands to defeat you.
She could crush my head like a grape.
I don't know. I think things went pretty well today.
True. But if I ever make you angry, I'm fearful.
Yeah. No, didn't happen.
Not today.
No, not today. Well, it was your birthday, so you got away with more than normal.
Yes, this is true. I got to play that the Itchy and Scratchy theme.
Oh no, that I liked. I like Itchy and Scratchy.
Yay! All right. So shall we journey to tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Yes. So everybody have a great day.
Oh wait, we didn't get to hear about Pop Culture's channel.
Oh right, Pop Culture Curator's channel. I forgot. Sorry.
I usually cover Star Trek the animated series on Monday, and Tuesdays I will be doing. We will be starting a horror sci-fi stream reviewing of movies. We'll be kicking that off with the Evil Dead series starting next Tuesday.
Nice.
And tonight I'm doing Gilligan's Island reviews. I usually do them on Wednesdays, but Gorilla Random Thoughts and I will be doing that tonight. And starting next week, so my schedule starting next week will be Monday, TAS reviews, Tuesday, TOS reviews with Jill in the daytime, and then horror sci-fi reviews Tuesday evening, and then Gilligan's Island reviews on Wednesday. And then I randomly have musings and rumblings from the lab with open mic, open panel. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome, and thank you for being here and all of that production stuff. You know,
My pleasure.
You have such great observational skills. It is really incredible.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I had a blast.
Mm-hmm. Kronos says, I was almost ignored. Yes, thanks for hanging in there, Kronos, while I plowed through the episode so I could be done with talking about it.
And thank you to everybody.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And yeah, everyone have a good day. See you next time. Next Tuesday, we'll be reviewing the episode. Tomorrow is yesterday. I didn't write down the name of it. Is that right?
Tomorrow is yesterday, yep.
Okay. And
have a goo-goo day and a gaga tomorrow.
I don't know what that's about, but I will leave you with the preview for next week's episode.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Take care.
Cheers.
Oh, I have this all the way at the bottom. I have to scroll.
Oh my God, we have to vamp more.
Captain's log, stardate 3113.2. The Enterprise, out of control. Maximum warp power in reverse propels us backward in time.
UFO is picking up speed and climbing. I'm going in closer.
Try and beam that pilot aboard. Computer, you will not address me in that manner. Compute.
Compute it, dear.
It also has an unfortunate tendency to giggle.
What about Jim? He's down there alone, probably under arrest. He doesn't have a communicator, and we can't locate him or beam him back aboard without one.
Sabotage, espionage, unauthorized entry, burglary.
I am going to lock you up for 200 years.